You're on camera. Say something.
Last night and night before, there was 3 women walking down the street that way. I saw them. I said, hey, you 3 women, why are y'all walking down the street that way? There's nothing down there. And they flew away. I said, oh, them was some birds.
It's gonna take a lot to flip this line around. More than cutting Laura into a different mood. I miss the rains down in Antifrica. Gonna take some time to be understood. We remember it's your voice. You're the kid. Feel the fire. I will get you here on the stand. Feeling desire. Feel my fire. I just wanna tell you tonight. Get on my power.
Took a little bit of ice, a little bit of shrooms. Did that?
VIP 房同卡拉 OK， 咁抵食，全天供應添，乳鴿都只係16蚊9毫9，千里小炒王有4間。
People, I need to show you something here. Why I married the best woman in the whole world. She made a giant metal T-Rex. She welded this shit. Her name is Regina, by the way. Look at this. I mean, look. Look at the detail. Look at the eye. Look at how beautiful that is. This thing's like 6 feet tall. My wife welded a giant metal Tyrannosaurus Rex. If I had known that one day I would marry a woman who could weld a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex, I don't know what I would do. Like, as a kid, I just don't know how I would process that information. This is the coolest thing in the world, and my wife is the best. That's all I gotta say. That's all.
Let me guess, Tiny, a small salad?
Kakaroto.
We serve food here, sir.
I got it already, Squidward.
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in the most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck-ups when you have tomorrow's fuck-ups to look forward to? You are a fuck-up, and fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
I was not very steeped in the comics.
I didn't read any comics or do any research.
I wasn't familiar with comics. I wasn't familiar with the movies.
We didn't lean into a whole lot of the history of the comic books.
Yeah, candidly, we were not enormous comic fans.
I wasn't super into superhero comics when I was a kid. I read a lot of like indie press stuff.
First thing I was told is don't read the comics.
Really?
As a creator, they put you in a bubble. They don't let you talk about any of the other projects, right?
You know, they're up for anything.
We ultimately decided to redefine it for the series and thought that it worked better for the story that we're trying to tell.
Did you ever read the, you've never read the comic?
When the DVD comes out, I'm going to read a Thor comic book and just see where we went wrong.
New from Bionicle, Homer Simpson, equipped with a donut hammer, he charges into battle, defending Matanui. You ready? Are you ready for Homer Simpson the Bionicle? Check it out. It's real, right? It's real as it can get. Here to enjoy this wonderful creation with me is the lovely Miss Nerdigans.
Oh my God. Where was I have to bring it up because you've set it up.
Oh,
Where was
no.
Homer in LA to defend the giant donut?
That's right. There you go. It wasn't pink, but thankfully we do have a Bionicle kit somewhere out there in the world that's not official, obviously, of Homer Simpson the Bionicle. Now, I don't know about you, but I was into Bionicles a lot when I was a kid. I had like all of them. I loved the concept, and then all of a sudden it was racist, and then we couldn't talk about Bionicle anymore. Thankfully, someone took charge and decided, well, we've got all these Bionicle parts we can't talk about anymore. We might as well make something out of them, and they made a conversation piece. One of my favorite parts about this, guys, is right up here at the top, right? That yellow mask. Well, wouldn't you know, it's got a nice little channel up here that sort of kind of resembles Homer's 3 hairs. That's a neat attention to details you don't see in these neat little custom kits that find their way out into the world. We do have, from that fun piece, we do have some dark news. Over here, Netflix plans to introduce AI-generated ads. That's right. Now when they're trying to sell you Grey Poupon, the guy will look right into the camera and address you by name. Hey, Jim, you want some mustard, don't you? Your girlfriend left you. She hated mustard. Now's the time, bro. Are you ready? Get your 3D glasses on. Godzilla's going to reach through, tickle your balls to tell you all about Nike.
I mean, I can't get any good customer service with the AI on Twitter, with the premium Twitter. Like, why would anyone want this? No one wants this. AI is complete when it comes to stuff like this. It is not the best. I would rather, I mean, I could get better like service. I have to bring it up because it frustrates me. I can get better customer service from Amazon third-party customer service chat, and they are the worst to deal with. That's so frustrating.
You know, AI is the final customer service boss, you know, the final boss of customer service. That's the guy when you press 0 too many times, you summon him.
Oh God.
But
yeah, like this is really stupid. Netflix, you are dumb. You are wasting money. You will die doing this, and this is why Pluto TV and Tubi are overtaking you.
So you pause your movie because you're making out with somebody on the couch and you don't want to be interrupted by like all the giant monsters dying noises in the background that kind of spoil the mood, right? And when you go to hit pause, though, an advertisement for Depends diapers starts playing that's been personalized just for you, thanks to Netflix. Well, that sounds great. That just sounds fine and dandy. But
Just wait. Hold on a second. Just wait. At smart TVs, at some point, if it hasn't already happened, or like freaking PlayStation or Xbox or wherever you're watching your Netflix on, there will be ad blockers on there, and then you will lose AI. Skynet will take a huge L to that. I mean, Skynet taking L's, for example, for Twitch ad blocker or for Twitch ads. They tried to force ads on me, and my ad blocker defeated it. So ad blocker defeats YouTube ads. I mean, what can I say? Skynet will keep losing to ad block if these corporations keep forcing it onto people.
Well, and thankfully we don't have ad block on folks in the chat because RJ McReady was here first. Also, don't forget to vote in the poll if you have a Switch. Are you keeping it or returning it? Let us know below.
I'm keeping mine. Switch 2. I was like Switch 1 or Switch 2. Well, Switch 1, my one of my subscribers got it for me. Like I don't remember, like at least 6 years ago now, I think it was.
Sure.
Yeah.
So around the time when those were pretty popular.
Yeah. So one of my subscribers donated to me, just like with my PS4. That one I got like 7 or 8 years ago. One of my subscribers donated it to me, which I thought was awesome. I lost one of the controllers they sent me though. It's somewhere in
the cat ate it.
My room. Nah, he didn't eat it. Maybe he hid it, but. Or I lost it when I moved. I'll have to look at some point. But
we do have Sakramita here as well, saying hello, everyone. We have Hibozo here. Hibozo also suffers with the customer service line AI-driven services because they don't understand Bozo's accent. That sucks. We do have Raul Sita here saying, not interested in getting a Switch 2 at the moment. Well, you and quite a few other people have decided to just hold off on this first round. Welcome from Facebook. We have Travis Coleman. Welcome aboard from Facebook. Don't see you guys too often over here, so nice to see you representing. And finally, we have Buddy Smith here saying, TMNT 87, all 10 seasons are on Tubi. Well, there you go. If you needed another reason to get away from the AI ad apocalypse from Netflix that will personally address you in selling you ads, Tubi has your back covered.
Well, the thing is like with stuff like with Pluto TV, for example, I don't know if Tubi, I don't think Tubi has live channels yet, but Pluto is live TV, and I don't mind having ads for Pluto TV because it's free. Free with ads is something that, I mean, I'm used to. I had it when I was watching when Hulu wasn't owned by Disney. Remember back in the day when
the
Hulu,
old times.
Yeah, the old Hulu. Like when Hulu first launched, I think it was when Hulu was free with ads, right?
No, I think it's always had ads.
No, it was free with ads. You didn't have to have a subscription like back in the day when it first launched.
I don't remember.
I think because I used to watch Hulu all the time and I didn't have a membership. Or I had a free membership. But yeah, I think that's what it was. And then at some point, they forced you to pay for a membership, and then it just went downhill from there. But yeah, a lot of these Netflix, you always had to have a membership period. But ads, I don't mind ads if it is like a free platform. I don't. And same and Crunchyroll used to be like that too, where you could still to an extent, but like when they did free simulcasts and you could watch it for free, and yeah, you'd have ads, but it's still a free simulcast. Like people didn't mind that at all, even though their player is complete ass, but still, that's a whole different story. But people were willing to, but it's still a legal way to watch anime, and
illegal, not illegal.
Illegal.
Want to specify that. But speaking of illegal things, Speaking of illegal things, we have some drama going on with the Princess Peach voice actress.
Yeah, so she found out I think it was the day Mario Kart World came out, that Nintendo basically gave her the golden handshake, and that she was no longer going to be voicing Princess Peach or Toad or Toadette, and she's been voicing it. This person, Samantha Kelly, she's been voicing them for 18 years.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with the cast of Mario. I want to say that Peter Cullen did it once. That's all I know.
But yeah, she's been voicing them for a really long time. People were devastated when.
What is the golden handshake for people like me that aren't familiar with
the golden handshake is basically a nice way of saying forced retirement.
That is a really strange way to say that, but yeah, okay. So.
You never heard of the golden handshake before?
I live in the woods. People just say you got fired. They don't go through all this. There's no social dynamic
and shit like that. Well,
it's just forced retirement. They fired me before I got my pension. That's all. Nobody. There's no social dynamic you have to cushion people's expectations for up here. My boss fired me because he's a piece of shit. That's the story. There's no like golden handshakes, showers, or parachutes.
The best way. It's like a roundabout way of firing. Or like forced retirement. It's like a roundabout way where it's but where you're describing like in terms of firing and shit like that. That's more direct. Whereas golden handshake is it's like a beat around the bush kind of thing, if that makes sense.
Okay. Well, Samantha Kelly, the voice of Princess Peach, says, "Thank you for so many years of friendship and joy. I'm sad that it's over. I truly have wanted to voice Peach and Toad forever. Nintendo let me know yesterday that they decided to recast these roles. I'm grateful that I got to do these roles for so many years. Peach and Toad are such strong and, I don't know, beautiful might not be a word I apply to Toad, but beautiful characters that I pray that they live forever no matter who voices them. So much love, emoji that didn't load."
But like, so at least she's not being bitter, like extremely like. But she could have been just a complete bitch about it. But she, she's just heartbroken.
Well, you know, Nintendo's kind of come at the end of the run of it too. They've got what they need to do on this end is probably refresh the cast in order to make them kind of sound like kids still, even though they're represented as full-grown adults. It's one of those strange things, and they don't voice too many. They don't do too much talking. I don't even think
No.
Princess Peach talked a lot in her own game, did she?
I don't think so.
No, I
Like,
don't
I
remember that.
understand maybe for Toad if you want to go with more of like a childlike voice, but for Peach, I don't think
It's Steve
Peach
Austin.
needs that.
We need to get Steve Austin to do it. Remember that? Remember when Steve Austin did the voice
Yeah.
of Toad? You guys out in the audience, let's risk a copyright strike, huh? Let's do that. Let's have fun. Let's live on the edge here at Edgeville. But that was Stone Cold Toad. Stone Cold Toad. That's what it was. Yep. And of course, it shows right up. First response.
Oh
I
God.
love this. I love this so much. This is I think Jacob showed me this. I don't think I knew about this before. I think Jacob showed me this. But yeah, so here you go. This is I don't know if this is real or if like Steve Austin got really drunk and someone just happened to have a microphone, but here we go. We're gonna play it through, no interruptions. We're gonna play it through.
Oh God.
Hey Mario, that big old 500-pound some bitch Bowser just took the damn princess and used all the star power to put everybody in paintings. Now I need you to take your ass inside those paintings and recover the stars with a little bit of jumping, what? A little bit of punching, what? And a little bit of ass whooping, what? To save Princess Peach. And that's the bottom line, 'cause Stone Toad said so.
Stone Toad said so.
Why didn't Illumination cast him?
I don't know. They're dumb, most likely. I need to get this off screen. They're dumb, most likely. That's why. Yeah, it is. It's absolutely. Oop, I clicked the wrong one. Sorry about that, Spencer. It's nice to see you here, though, pal. Spencer, editor-in-chief of Bounding into Comics, in the chat, saying he will buy a Switch 2 when they make a new Kamen Rider Climax Scramble. If you're not familiar with how the Japanese word things, that's going to sound not as family friendly as I know it to be. But yeah, that's real Dungeon 00X0. Yeah, absolutely. That's the Stone Cold Toad. Absolutely. Now, I don't know if that's an impressionist or something, but I want to say that that's 100% Stone Cold Steve Austin, who just for whatever reason decided to deliver that as Toad talking to Mario. Yeah, I would hope it was for like one of those Make-A-Wish kids that was like dying of like mega cancer, because I can't imagine Nintendo like saying like talk about whoop ass in there. Talk about whoop ass in the commercial for children. Like especially back in those days, you know. But Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax crossover anime fighting game.
I mean, we're seeing like you saw the Sonic Racing game with the crossovers that they're doing with.
Yeah, those are a little
with
random,
Hatsune-
aren't they?
I like the Hatsune Miku one. I thought was that one is not as random because you know she's done stuff with Sega before, but like the Minecraft one, I thought was like the most random out of all of the guest characters.
Oh, I don't have it on this device. Darn it. So there was somebody posted a picture of Maria, and she's next to a cart. She's standing next to a cart, but the cart is fashioned to look like a coffin.
Oh my god!
And I was
Like
"Yep,
that's really
that's
messed up.
unexpected."
That's like really twisted, and I kind of like it in a way.
Well, it's one of those things, but we do want to let you guys know about the Switch 2. Now, as I mentioned in the title here, we have people saying that. Oops, I spelled his name wrong. I didn't save it earlier because I'm a genius. But Fratanga, his friend, is gone returning his Switch 2, and they are.
You gotta be shitting me.
So we'll just open him up right here because you already heard him. So because I'm so good at what I'm doing here. So here we go. There it is. So this is Fratanga's video. We're not going to play the whole thing through. I just want to walk you through the intro here. He is at his local department store. I'm going to assume that this is Walmart, judging by the gray. And
You gotta be shitting me. They're not sold out at all. There's so many. They're all in stock. There's so many. So many just sitting right there, and you can't have them.
So there you go. So Fratanga's video goes on to describe that his friend got a hold of the well, not all the time, depending on how you receive that message, Dungeon. It's not all the time that I watch Fratanga. It's just some of the time. Anyway, so I happened to catch this video that was going around, and Fratanga explains that his friend got a hold of the Switch 2, and he did not have a great time with it because the Switch did not live up to his expectations. Switch 2 did not live up to his expectations. Now, again, a lot of people come out and say, well, what did you expect? Well, we expected a new console, not the Switch Pro. And that's kind of what Fratanga's friend got down into, is that it doesn't do much more than the Switch already did on its own. It's just bigger and it has a few more frames to give you. Even then, the games that they were playing were laggy and they kept dropping frames on them when they were online mode. It just really didn't give him the experience he wanted. And he found himself really much more in tune with his previous Switch after playing the Switch 2. So get this. He was playing the Switch 2 and he said, all I want to do right now is play my Switch 1. That's it.
You know what this kind of is? This is kind of like what we saw with the DS, because remember there was the DS, the DS Lite, the DSi, the DSi XL, I think it was too. I can't be wrong about that. Then there was the 2DS and the 3DS. And like, for the most part, the DS Lite was just fine. Like, you didn't need like a DSi. You didn't need all this. To be fair, the 3DS like had some cool stuff, but you really didn't need it. The DS Lite, it was all that you really needed because it had the backlight. That was the main thing for that, was the backlight. And it was slimmer. That was the main reason to get it.
Well, and again, we've got Infern 209X here that says we expected better specs for $400 to $50 to $400 to $500. Gosh, I'll read it right eventually. I live in this country, believe me. The price of a PS5 before the price increase. Now, they're absolutely right on this because when you zoom out on this console is priced at a competitive price for what you would have picked up your PS5 for. And yet it doesn't do much more than what a 6-year-old Switch Pro would have done, right? And again, I want to stress this. This is what Fratanga's friend was explaining, is that this should have just been the Switch Pro. It would have been fine to release a upgraded, little tougher version of the Switch after 6 years. Look at how many Xbox Series whatchamahoozits have come out.
They did, as I said, they did this with the DS. That's what they should have done with this. This should have been like the Switch's 3DS. That's what this really should have been, is the Switch's, either because the LED one would be the DSi. Yeah, because that one didn't have the ability to hook into like the TV. This to me would have been like the 3DS of this generation. That's what it would have been.
Well, and Fratanga went on to explain that the Steam Deck does 100 times better job and has been upgraded again to do even more now. And the Switch 2 comes out bragging that it's this brand new thing, and it's not. It's just like you were talking about, the DS Lite. It should have been the Switch Pro. Again, Fratanga's showing this off that the library on the Steam Deck, I think, is almost 3 times the size of what the Switch 2 has. Absolutely massive discrepancy between the two devices. Granted, I understand. Nintendo is trying to make a device that fits for like your grandma, and then to make something for families and just sort of put something in an affordable price range. And while that might be the case at the moment, this price increase does not justify what its competition is doing for less or about the same price.
I'm trying to remember how much the price increase was at the time, because I was working at GameStop when the DSi came out, and I remember the DS Lite, when the DSi came out, I think it was like close to 200. I think it was 200 when the DSi came out, and the DS Lite was like at that point it was 100 or 130. I think it was 130 at the time. And this was like in 2009. And then the 3DS was closer. I know the 3DS was like 200. I know that for a fact. That one was 200. And then the 2DS was closer. I think it was it 150? I think it was something like 150 for the 2DS, because the 2DS you could play both the 3D and the 3D. You could play the 3DS games on it, but it just didn't have the 3D mode on it. That was the main difference for it.
And this was another point that Fratanga's friend pointed out, was that the Switch 2 has a very short battery life. Just
That's a huge problem.
astonishingly short, especially in online mode. It just eats battery. So I guess that's just one of those things that they've got to work on, probably to do with optimization all over again. The processor's probably just munching the battery, trying to process all of these games that aren't properly optimized. Again, I'd like to bring up that joke about how Mortal Kombat 1 fit on what effectively is now a Hit Clips cartridge, that played 30 seconds of a song. They fit Mortal Kombat 1 on that, but now the newest Mortal Kombat they're coming out with is almost 150 gigs.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And then like people are pointing out about how Switch 2 doesn't not have the specs worth $450 to $500. Well, I mean, look, again, I'm just thinking about like the handhelds. They were when the DSi and the 3DS came out, they were considered expensive for their time, because remember when I don't know if you probably remember this or not, but when Game Boy Advance SP came out, because I got every Game Boy since almost every handheld since like the Color. And I remember that when the Game Boy Advance came out, or when my mom got it for me anyway, it was like $80. And then when the Advance SP came out, I think it was $80 as well. And then the chunky DS, I think that's when the price went up to it was either 100 or 130. The Micro was also like was either 80 or $100 for the Game Boy Advance Micro. And then the DS Lite was 130, and then the DSi was 179. Yeah, the DSi XL. That's when I think the handheld started hitting the $200 price point when they first came out. And then, the 3DS I think was 3DS had to be at least 200 as well, or 250. I think it was 200.
It was a decent chunk of change to get a hold of the 3DS. Yes.
Yeah, it was
especially in those times.
Yeah, and I know the bundles, the Zelda edition, for example, I think was like 250 or something like that. Something like that. And the Pokemon version was like 250 as well. So that's why, like, when I see like people like complain about like certain price points, I'm like, and like certain technology for Nintendo, you got to like take it into consideration what you're getting for it. Like in the case of the Switch 2, the technology that's being used in terms of like ingenuity wise would be, I feel like it would be the key cards, if anything. But that's saying, and also, you got to remember, Nintendo is also, I know I'm sounding like a fucking Nintendo freaking shill, but I'm just thinking about like the technical overhaul that the Switch 2 is attempting to do. Yeah. It's kind of like with what we saw with the PS3 at its time. Because remember, the PS3 was like almost $800 when it first came out. And it was 20 gig. It was the 20 gig, and it was the 80 gig, and those were like between $600 to $800. And people were pissed off at it at the time, and there was barely any games out. But that was, those justified the price as much as you hate it. It did kind of justify the price point because of the new technology at the time, because it was fully backwards compatible, and you also had a Blu-ray player, which was brand new at the time. Blu-ray was brand new technology. It was a new frontier.
So,
but yeah,
I do want to point out though that people are kind of like, a lot of people I've seen speak about the Mario Kart world being sort of one of those, you're going to like it if you like it, you're going to hate it if you hate it. One of those situations where you have a very strong group of people who are very much enjoying the new features that are inside of the new Mario Kart world game. And then you have a bunch of people who feel that it is overpriced. This is not a mainline Mario game. It's not even clear if this is the mainline Mario Kart game, because again, it's Mario Kart World, whereas the last one was Infinity, of course, looking like an 8. So it's not clear if this is Mario Kart 9 or its own new franchise. It's one of these things that collectors get tripped up over. The average consumer, though, I've heard, feels a little bit sticky about paying so much money for a Mario Kart game, despite its features. There again, like I said, there are very passionate people that do really enjoy this already. Nogla's group, Terrorizer, Pasta, Panda, even Moo came back. That's right, Moose Knuckle came out of piano moving retirement to play Mario Kart World with the boys the other day. So again, I'm not hating on it. I'm just trying to report to you that folks out there are having mixed experiences with this title game, if you will, for the Switch 2. So that's it. You know, that's what that's about.
Well,
We do
like,
have a-
well, here's I want to. I know I sound like a fucking shill, but here's the difference between like say a Nintendo mainline game and say like what you're seeing from like EA or from Ubisoft and what like some of those companies are doing when you're paying $80 for their games. Like a Mario Kart for $80, you're getting almost a complete game, unless they're going to add DLC or something like that, which they probably will. You're getting a complete game. You're not getting microtransactions from what I know of. You're not getting microtransaction BS. Maybe you pay for like extra cars or something like that if you want, but that's optional. It's not required. What you're seeing with like, say like, what's a good example? God, what you're seeing from a lot of these companies is you're seeing like forced microtransactions. So the game is not really like, say, $60. It's like $100.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm talking about, where it's like forced microtransactions. It's very deceptive. Mario Kart is not deceptive. Again, I'm sounding like a shill, but Mario Kart is not deceptive like that. Mario Kart it knows what it is. You're getting basically a complete game for the most part, and anything else that comes after it, you know, that comes out like DLC, like extra tracks or extra cars or characters, that's optional.
And that's what I want to point out about this is that some players are also having trouble with the scratch off game that you usually get with your Switch consoles. I've been told that some users end up with a physical scratch card in order to enter that code and get a free game. Other users are automatically not getting that option, meaning what this means is that they do not get the option to sell that scratch card unscratched, uncashed in. And that's been another kind of hiccup for all of this, is that these launch day, you know, random games you can get, sometimes collectors are very passionate about that. And as it turns out, some people that are getting the Switch have that preloaded on their console. So when they activate their console, it gives them the option to do the scratch off in the device, meaning you can't sell that game. It is tied to your device as a gift from Nintendo that can't leave your device.
That's really really frustrating. Unless I don't know if it's possible, but I know with like, say, with the Wii, for example, you were able to and I think even the Switch, and I know the DS as well. Any games that you downloaded, you were able to like put it on your put it on an SD card and then put it on another Nintendo console. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I think that's really screwed up that your games aren't staying with your account that's only tied to the console. If that's what it sounds like you're saying, Cider.
Well, and that's what I was told, is that these guys that were picking up these Switch 2s discovered that their buddy got a scratch card and they didn't. So I can't say if it was 50-50 or that these two just happened to get the odd numbered ones, but there are a few other people out there on X and on Instagram reporting that they did not get a scratch card, physical scratch card, that Nintendo gave them the option to do that in the device, meaning it was permanently tied to the device. There was no way to sell that to a collector or somebody that wanted to try it on their own. So it is quite a headache, because as the chat's talking about over here, Mario Kart World, Mario Kart as a franchise is an excellent franchise. It works very well. It's managed to outlast every last competitor. The multiple attempts from Sonic Racing to take it down. Were they on their fourth try now to try and create their own Mario Kart? Even Crash Team Racing showed up in order to try and take it down, and that was awful. And so there really is only one kart racing video game out there, and that's Mario Kart. Now, Nintendo may be a bit high on their own farts and assume that they can, you know, this new game has a bunch of feature upgrades. It is in 4K, or at least presented in 4K. And it is quite beautiful to look at, especially with where you're being able to drive between the races. It looks very beautiful, a lot of fun, a lot of collaborative environment with other players, people that are with your group, people that aren't racing against you. The elimination rounds are great. These new additions, these new maps, also a lot of fun. And that's what Nintendo kind of is banking on with this, is that the Mario Kart World is not a mainline Mario game. It's not any usual title release like a Zelda game, brand new Zelda game, blah, 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 that comes out right then and there. It is probably the first time Nintendo's just sort of leaned back into an easy win. They haven't tried to provide you with a new game, because Mario Kart isn't a new game until, I don't really think it is a new game. You just race between races now. So it's not a bad thing. I'm just telling you that there's no way to reinvent Mario Kart. That's what I'm conceding, is that they are not able to reinvent it because there's no way to reinvent it.
Well, like doing the off-roading is really cool, and like adding additional mini games like the capture the flag or like the balloons and stuff like that. Like adding additional mini games is always a plus.
Yep.
Just to add more functionality to it and playability.
Well, and as we're talking about having competitors here, we learned I think it was yesterday. No, it was just yesterday that the new Xbox X Asus ROG X handheld, however you want to pronounce that.
Yeah.
The new handheld X-Boy. Remember they're going to do the X-Boy? Remember that?
Mhm.
Yeah, so let's call it the X-Boy. The X-Boy has arrived, ladies and gentlemen, and it's just an Asus ROG with a different like sticker package on the control scheme. It's just the Asus ROG. That's it.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to sell very well. They're competing with Steam Deck.
Well, at this point, they're competing with the Nintendo Switch too, suddenly. So,
well, like, I mean, I think that their biggest competition, and I'm talking about in their genre, is going to be, or target demographic. That's the wording I was looking for. Is Steam Deck, and they're not going to beat Steam Deck. Steam Deck does everything that this is doing and more.
Right. Well,
and
again,
and they're also syncing it too. They're also talking about how they're trying to make it so everything is an Xbox. Well, yeah, the fact that you're making it so Steam Deck could, in a sense, could be an Xbox too. You're basically destroying yourselves by doing that.
Well, and this is one of the things that I wanted to stress about this machine. We'll just kind of move up here so we got a picture on screen. I'll zoom out, I guess. We can see the picture too. But what I wanted to stress about this is that this machine has quite an arsenal of firepower behind it. They are at least giving the Steam Deck a run for its money, at least in my opinion. Let's see what's under the hood here for the ROG Xbox X Ally there, whatever you want to call it, is a beast. It's got the AMD Ryzen Z2 Extreme processor in it, 24 gigabytes of RAM. Most of the PCs you'll pick up off the shelf today that aren't like rigged out gaming machines max out at 16. So this thing in your hands has almost twice the horsepower of a PC that you're just gonna pick up out at, like, I don't know where you go places to buy PCs anymore, but not Newegg, of course not. It's got 1 terabyte of a solid state drive. I figured out how to stuff a solid state drive into this thing. Now, it's got the premium features on this. It has the Thunderbolt 4 support and a bigger 80-watt battery, which I don't know if that competes with Steam Deck, because I know the Steam Deck is kind of like legendary for the battery power that it has. I don't know if that competes or not.
Wait, how much memory does the Steam Deck have? A solid-state drive like I think it does?
I want to say that it has a regular hard drive in it, doesn't it?
Don't remember.
That kind of seems silly, though, right?
That seems weird that the Steam Deck wouldn't have a solid state hard drive.
Steam Deck assisting. Oh yeah, it does. There's like a shit ton of them for sale. Yep. Sorry, my bad. It has a ton of them. It has it. So they figured out how to stuff it into this too without violating anybody's copyright. How about that?
Well, what about the RAM on there compared to this? Is it like as big or is it as competitive? Like I don't know why they didn't win. It's kind of weird that Xbox Wire or whatever didn't have like a comparison to the Steam Deck unless it's significantly less than a Steam Deck.
So it's running around with 16 gigabytes of RAM, the Steam Deck is, and it is running around with, on the OLED, the top end one, you get 1 terabyte of SSD. On your regular ones, you get 512 gigabytes. So this has a larger storage here. The ROG has a larger storage capacity for your games.
So
But
if it does,
then
so if
again,
it-
you,
well,
well, then again,
here's-
you do have the Steam library, so I don't know. You know,
Well, if there's a way, if Xbox is figuring out a way to sync, because it has Windows 11 on there, right? So if they have it a way to where they could sync, where you could sync the Steam library to your Xbox Ally, then they might actually have something here.
well, and it says right here that both of these support the 1080 displays. Now, I know that they were bragging that the Switch 2 displays at 4K. I don't know if that's the display in your hands or on the TV. I think it's on the TV. And so this having 1080p in your hands, that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty neat. I don't know if that is, I don't think that's any better or worse than the OLED with the Steam Deck, because again, you're looking at screen size. Resolution kind of falls away when like you're dealing with like when you go from a 22-inch monitor down to like, you know, your little
Yeah,
7-inch
that's kind
display.
of the other thing that kind of bothers me is that it's 7 inches and it's not like a 10-inch. Because like phones for fuck's sakes are screens are, there's some phone screens that are bigger than that. So that's why I'm like, that's kind of like a little iffy.
Right. And I'm just trying to get the clip set up. Well, not a clip. I'm just trying to. Vertanga was kind enough to put these side by side. I was just trying to get the clip lined up. So here it is. This is the size difference between the two of them. So as you can see, the Steam Deck and the Switch are roughly the same size. I would say nearly down to the millimeter in height anyway. They might be the same length as well. So you're basically getting the same experience, but the Switch obviously has a wider screen than the Steam Deck does, thanks to the control scheme of the detachable controllers that the Switch offers, whereas both sides of your Steam Deck come with a thumb pad to allow you to control thumb paddy things with that.
Well, there's a good point that's being brought up in the chat that the Steam Deck runs Linux, so it's a matter of. So it's a matter of preference. If you like I'm a Windows person through and through. So it just depends if you like Windows or if you are a Linux person.
Well, and again, I mean, like this is the Steam Deck and versus the Switch 2. So we're already talking about like operating systems and stuff, which is something you cannot mess with the Switch 2. You will have your system shut down if you crack it open and try to modify it for any reason. We've even heard that trying to add the Hall sensors to your Joy-Cons will get you bricked. It's pretty astonishing to find this like just out in the world existing, you know?
It's so crazy because, oh God, I know I'm going to sound like a Sony shill, but like it's crazy because you have PlayStation. PlayStation's like the only one that will encourage you to modify your console. The only thing that they tell you though is that your warranty is invalid the moment you crack it open. But other than that, they're like, go ahead. Here's how to do it. They go on PlayStation support. They will show, they've done this since like the PlayStation 3. They'll be like, here, you want to upgrade your hard drive to a solid state hard drive? Here you go. Here's how you do it. Here's how you unscrew it. Here's how you put the hard drive in and everything. It'll teach you how to they'll show you how to fix your console if you need to. I mean, it's really PlayStation. I know I sound like a shill, but like PlayStation out of all of them in terms of like modification, they are the most consumer friendly.
Yeah, I concede that. Speaking of consumer friendly, GameStop had to correct a boo-boo pretty fast. Apparently, some New York GameStop employees had the extraordinarily bright idea of stapling the pre-order receipts to the face of their Switch 2 stock. This way, they'd separate their pre-order stock from the shelf stock, thus not interfering with the supply of either. And unfortunately, that backfired spectacularly as that institution had to replace nearly every single one of the midnight release pre-orders that people were in line to pick up in the middle of the night, as all of them had these piercings right down through the middle.
Just that's a typical, again, just someone that worked at GameStop. That is a typical GameStop thing. I'm surprised that didn't happen at Best Buy actually, or Walmart. That is something that I could see happen there too, to be honest.
Well, it astonishes me that like someone went through the entire process of fetching a stapler, lining all this up, and at no point did they think This is an electronics box. This is a box that contains a device that most likely has fragile equipment within it. Surely stabbing 2 metal prongs down into the screen, down into the front of this is going to have bad repercussions. No, they didn't think that. They thought that nothing bad was going to happen from driving those prongs down in there at blunt force. This is the kicker about it too. The stapler itself, like your regular office stapler, you unlock it, you hinge it back, you set it up, and you got to slap the top of it in order to send that staple through. Let's say you get a staple gun though, because you're like, well, I don't want to put my body weight down on the stapler. That'll break what's inside. Well, the staple gun is supposed to drive a staple through wood. What do you think it's going to do to glass?
Like,
it's amazing.
I'd understand, like, if you staple the receipt to like the side of the box, like,
well,
that's
what is
one
tape?
thing.
How did
Like,
they forget
also
about
tape too?
tape?
It's like, yeah, there's that, but these people are just stupid.
Yes. One of my favorite things was the just the sheer kind of like acrobatics you have to go through in your mind to say, like, here's this clearly electronics device. I know for sure that there is something fragile inside of it and valuable. I'm going to plunge a staple into it. And across so many, in fact, that almost everyone in line had to have their stuff replaced. So like you make it through 2, right? And eventually you think to yourself, I keep hearing crunch. Every time I do this, I keep hearing crunch. No, they work their way through almost 30 of these things, maybe more, but 30 of them anyway, that completely are inoperable because of this. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, they replaced all of them. Of course, they said, sorry, Nintendo, but this GameStop is going to be depleted of Switch 2s for a little while, as we initially had to replace nearly all of the pre-orders. Because, yeah, I think fired is probably one of the lightest things that's happened to this person. Their resume is probably like glowing with nuclear power, nuclear radiation. Like, they'll be lucky to get hired at a Panera Bread. I don't know if that's a bad place to work or not. I don't know. So Panera sounded hoity-toity. So anyway,
I'm hungry actually.
Oops. Well, I ruined that for you. But that's what's going on with the Switch 2. There's a lot of well,
it sounds kind of like what's the situation with the PS5 Pro, doesn't it? Or it's like, what was the point of this?
Well, again, we're reaching that point where the game companies can't really improve anymore.
Well, here's the difference though. Nintendo can, because Nintendo wasn't like going like all out on graphics. They've never been about graphics. So Nintendo can, but also Nintendo, unlike a lot of these companies, they're not just focused on graphics. They're focused on Nintendo's being more innovative than a lot of these companies are. Whereas like, this is where I'm not going to be a Sony shill, where like Sony is just, I don't know what the hell they're doing. They're just focused on graphics. They're not thinking, oh, maybe we should do like fully backwards compatible systems like we did with the PS3, the PS2, and PS1. Now let's just improve the graphics and also remove the disk drive and piss all our customers off.
About those graphics, it would appear that it's up to snuff enough for Microsoft, as Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is apparently going to be coming out on the Switch 2. So
I mean, Call of Duty Black Ops and Modern Warfare were on the Wii. It was just a weak ass version of it, but they were on the Wii.
It might be a weak ass version of Black Ops 7, or Blop 7. So you'll have to let us know when it eventually comes out, though. But I hear that everybody and their brother is quite excited about Black Ops 7. We'll talk about that a little bit later when Jacob and Spencer arrive. But for the meantime, we do have an incredibly curious incident with a Japanese voice actor declaring that foreign people within Japan are apparently an invasive species. Mr. Jeffrey Hall brings us a collection of translated stuff. And of course, he's a fellow that lives in Japan, and he is providing somewhat on the ground information, at least as far as people in Japan have come to understand this issue. So to introduce this, he's saying here, he says, a famous voice actress, Hayashibara Megumi, made a blog calling on her fans to vote because some foreign students get scholarships. Some tourists are rude. she compared these unspecified foreigners in Japan to an invasive species.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it? And I'm not just, it sounds like a lot of invasive species in the fandoms. It sounds like a lot of Tumblr refugees on the Twitter. I'm not talking about like the straight up obvious, but I'm talking about like just in culture in general. I mean, we see it like with Zoomers. For Zoomers that are the worst, man. Oh my God.
Well, and you know, they have a problem with how again, like this person is obviously talking about on the ground and in general, the Japan is being invaded by this person's
well,
perception.
someone said in the chat that's not what she said.
Okay. What did okay. I don't know. I'm just going off of where I was led. So I believe Hibozo is a fluent Japanese speaker. What did she say? I'm only following what was presented here. That's all. This isn't where I thought it was going to go with that. Well, again, I mean, this again, like they're dealing with an entirely different situation over there. We were talking about this earlier where manga CEOs, manga companies are talking about, and anime companies are talking about like censoring before the anime even is released to the public. This way they don't have to go through and censor it all later on for the West. It's already pre-censored.
Well, I sent this to you well, yeah, she's complaining about the immigrants. I know, but what I was saying was something I was trying not to state the obvious. I was trying to
there might be one in particular that this woman might be addressing. I'm not sure.
If she's just talking about illegal aliens in general, then I totally understand. I know about the situation with that, but I'm just trying not to be like, just state the obvious. I'm just saying that invasive species applies not just to illegal aliens. It applies to like to tourists as well and fandoms. That's what I was just saying.
Well, and again, I mean, like there's attitude about this around the world. And of course, like Japan is, of course, not as culturally flexible as the West is, in particular the United States, as that's sort of our thing. Every 4 years, our culture flips on its head. And so
I sent it to you. I also sent it to you in the chat. We'll go over this.
What did you send me?
Not in here, in the Slack. I'm sorry, earlier about like what happened with Jujutsu Kaisen's compilation film. That we had a similar situation to Demon Slayer, where where Toho released a legal threat because it was leaked, and we had another cultural clash. And these people think that because I'm not in Japan, they're not going to catch me. Well, a well-known leaker, Jujutsu Kaisen leaker, posted documents saying, yeah, you say that, but no, they can get you, whether you like it or not. That's about the documents, but like the statement I have.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Here,
then.
let me send you the here's.
Apparently, I missed it.
Here's the link that I was talking about. That's the statement, and then what you have up is that's the leaker that I was talking about the subpoenas.
Man, these people use the most obnoxiously ignorable icons possible. I have no idea. Like whoever thought up that icon should be punched in the face. Like that is like the most dumbest icon you could possibly think of to try and get people's attention on what you're doing. Like I don't care if it's kanji. You can't, your eyes are like blap. That's nothing. That's not even a thing to pay attention. Looks like the follow button. But what's going on with Jujutsu Kaisen and somebody that's probably going to get hanged?
So basically, remember what we saw with Demon Slayer with the leak with that and the cultural clash? We have a similar situation here with the Jujutsu Kaisen compilation movie where there was a leak that was where someone went in, took footage of it, and put it on social media. And Toho put this legal warning on here. And similar to what we saw with Demon Slayer, well, yeah, the Westerners went in on them, and unlike what Aniplex did, Toho released this statement in English for like a separate tweet in English. They have a tweet in Japanese and a tweet in English. The fact that they did this really means that this is serious. And the overseas fans, they just like with Demon Slayer, they were just like, It's pirating. It's just this should be released everywhere anyways. This wouldn't be happening if you were just released this overseas. And they were acting entitled. And something that and I sent this well, first off, if you pull up the leakers thing, because I think it's very important to understand.
Is this the leakers thing?
Yeah. Is that these people think, and this is why they're acting, these entitled mofos are acting this way, besides the fact that they feel owed this, is that they feel like they can get away with it.
Mhm.
And obviously they can't.
Okay. Well, what am I looking at? I see court.
You're looking at because recently what Miyamura says is recently anime producers hold on, let me pull this up on
Oh,
my
sure.
end.
Go ahead. You can.
Here
Sure.
we go. It
Recently,
says-
anime producers literally applied for a court order to reveal the personal info of a Twitter account who shared anime leaks so that they can effing subpoena them. I don't know what this means.
This is what a recent subpoena that Toho did that filed in the US. So, and they are trying to get the identities of Twitter leaker accounts.
So this person is saying that somewhere, somehow, someday, maybe Toho will send something some way to this person. Maybe.
Well, once they get their information, that they'll come after them.
Okay.
That they aren't safe.
All right. Well,
that they are taking this seriously. But then there's something else here. I did a thread in the Slack about this, starting with this one, and then I sent images of the other tweets that from Japanese Twitter. But this is the one that started it because what a lot of people on Japanese Twitter were talking about was not just the entitlement. Some of them were talking about like the industry aspect of this and why it's taking so long for some of the movies to come overseas. But what this is talking about here is what a lot of Westerners and overseas people are bringing up is that they're saying, oh, Japan is more focused on a leak than pedophile mangaka that's walking the streets. And they're talking about Watsuki, the mangaka of Rurouni Kenshin. And they're trying to deflect. It's so stupid. But yeah, they're trying to deflect from this issue by dragging in someone else, dragging in Watsuki. It's so stupid. But this is what they said. Stop bringing other issues into this. If it doesn't make leaks excusable, would it be nice to release it worldwide? Yes, but we don't beg for leaks. When we have to wait for to get Western movies, you all just don't have manners. And I think this person even said it in this thread. Is that it takes a long time for Japan to get Western movies. No, it didn't say. It doesn't say
it's
it.
about a year.
Yeah, it takes about a year. And they even said, I used to live in the States and we never got any anime movies in theaters back then. And y'all should be grateful that there's something to work with. And it's true. You guys are lucky. You guys are lucky or this generation is lucky that you guys get to see anime movies. Despite the lack of marketing, you have access to anime online, anime in theaters, anime merch. There's more and more Japanese merch coming stateside. You don't have to import it directly from Japan anymore, which says a lot about the state of the anime fandom.
Well, it's just one of these things that you're not going to stop. You're not going to stop leakers. You're not going to stop people who want to get a hold of the leak because humans, we're curious. We seek out information and oftentimes at our own detriment. So don't expect people to stop chasing the leaks. I'm not do it.
And that's what I'm not saying that. I'm saying that these people, the response to this is so disgusting. These people are acting extremely entitled, like they are owed this movie.
Sure. Because in their mind that they are. Because they are the audience, the best. They're the bestest audience. They don't spend a dime on this franchise, but they are the best audience. And that's why they deserve everything all the time forever, because mom and dad said so, and so did the tablet.
There was
something Kirby's over there, and he says, long time for Western movies to come to Japan, nothing lost, probably a good thing. Yeah, well, that year delay might be like the import committee having a deep, long reflection over whether or not it should come to the
Japan. But here's what it says here. This is one of the images I sent in the Slack, and it's TDW 2B6 is the image. It's a thread here. But what it says, here, let me share the screen. Let's make this easier. Let me make sure I have everything here. Is this the right one? Here it is. Okay. Let me share the screen. This will be a lot easier. Is this the one?
Well,
let's see. Hold on a second. Yeah, here it is. Okay. I think this is the one. All right. Yeah, here it is. So this person here explained why this is the case. So the main reasons why Japanese anime films are not often released simultaneously worldwide are due to the release schedule of anime films in Japan and contracts with film companies and streaming services in other countries. And then what it says here is Japanese anime is incredibly popular worldwide with significant demand overseas. However, the challenge of worldwide simultaneous release, because I know a lot of people are thinking this too, is complex primarily due to rights and scheduling issues. And Japanese anime obviously is primarily made for a Japanese audience. Therefore, Japanese anime is subject to regulations in overseas markets, resulting in changes to the artwork or even cuts in content. That's why it's taking so long. A lot of it, for me, this is what I think. It's more so, especially in the US, it's more so contracts than anything else, especially like with companies like Netflix, if you want to get Netflix, because Netflix was able to do simultaneous release of, say, like Black Clover. We saw that, the Black Clover movie. When it
Well, we do have a question from the chat. Leslie Tarkin asked, where's Spencer and Jacob? Well, Spencer's here.
Hey, I'm walking in. What's going on, everybody? What are we talking about? How are we doing this afternoon, evening? I'm still not quite drilled in with our new time.
Right.
Well, we're talking about a story that I sent you was how Japanese Twitter is kind of responding to a lot of the Western backlash towards the Jujutsu Kaisen legal letter. And this user here was explaining how, or explaining why it takes so long for Japanese anime films to release worldwide and why they aren't released simultaneously, which is due to like the schedule of anime films in Japan and the contracts with film companies and streaming services in other countries. And like I was thinking, when I first saw this, I was thinking, well, what about like Black Clover? Because we saw this with Black Clover, the Wizard King movie for it being released simultaneously worldwide on Netflix. And it must have been a lot of work for Netflix to do that, to get everything done for that. And it's the same thing with what we're seeing with Amazon Prime Video and Oshinoko, I believe, the live action adaptation of it. I think it's being released simultaneously in Japan and worldwide, if I remember correctly.
Well, and again, like you said, with the contracts and streaming services and whatnot, again, and Japan doesn't want to walk into a buzzsaw. That's the thing. These distributors, these contracts, they all kind of like, I wouldn't say that all of these studios, for instance, are going and negotiating one by one. I believe that they have probably a committee or some type of group that together meets with Netflix, meets with Hulu, meets with these various platforms that their stuff is on, and they collectively bargain about when this stuff's going to be streamed, when it will be coming to the movie theater. Because again, it's not just Sunrise that has their hand in like the Gundam movies. It's not just Toei that has their hand in this stuff. And these are companies that also have other contracts in the USA that are, of course, interfering with non-competition clause. And the USA loves the non-competition clause. That's one of our favorite things to stick in your contract.
Why can't we get rid of that? Like, let's do something. Let's get real change going in there. Let's get real change going in this country. Get rid of the no comp.
And that's what I promise you is most likely killing a lot of distribution nerdigans, because it didn't hit me until I was looking into how SAG-AFTRA was trying to like strong arm their way into the James Earl Jones AI situation on Fortnite, trying to get their cut of it all. Was that the non-competition clause is part of SAG-AFTRA's thing. Like, if you're a member, you can't go out and not be a member when you work for them. So they're trying to treat his posthumous AI voice as a member of SAG, thus competing against them because he didn't go through them to negotiate the deal because he's a fucking AI and he can't do that. And that's where this came in, is that believe it or not, I promise you, some of the animation studios that work with Toei, some of the directors, if not the marketing teams, intermediaries, work with Netflix, work with Paramount, work with Universal, all the big guys, and they have non-competition clause that keep these things out of the theaters. Because again, it's not like it's sending the film reel on a boat across the fucking ocean anymore.
But speaking of that, I saw this today, and this is with an interview done with the Comics Wave Films founder, Noritaka Kawaguchi. And they were asked by they were asked by Japanese media outlet Toya Keizai in May about like the background of Toho share acquisition, and they were asked even about Crunchyroll, about the healthy competition with it. And this is what they said, and I thought this was very interesting, that Crunchyroll is doing its best, but Japanese anime still hasn't fully reached America, which is something we've talked about before, like how the lack of marketing has kind of affected that. And I think there's even more to it too. But anyways, let me finish reading this. I think this is just the main thing, but it says here as well, Toho has acquired G Kids and also owns Toho International. I want them to continue working hard on distribution for North America, and by becoming another major force, engage them in healthy competition. But this statement right here, I'm really curious what you guys think about this, that besides Crunchyroll is doing its best, but Japanese anime still hasn't fully reached America.
Yep. It probably never will at this point. Probably never will. But
kind of late in the game at this point.
Well, and that's what I'm kind of like. We're Nerdigans, you brought up before that anime companies are kind of starting to slow down. That the anime rush, the hotness of the market is kind of cooling a little bit, and they're slowing down and stuff. Not, of course, is it Studio Trigger that's putting out 13 animes a year?
No, that's JC Staff their goal is to put out like at least 10 anime per year.
Yeah.
Whereas other studios like Trigger is putting out like, I think it's like 1, maybe 2 at most.
Yeah.
David Productions does 1 to 2. And that's like usually the average is like 1 to 2. Spencer could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what it is like 1 to 2 anime per year is like the average. But JC Staff is.
Oh, I have it goes all over the place. I have I just wait for the schedule to come out and I go, oh, look, they're making something.
Yeah.
But JC Staff is just like way beyond, but JC Staff is extremely abnormal. Like they're notorious for like working their animators to death at this point.
And we've also got this age demographic collision that's running into Japan rapidly. That's going to cause a massive downturn in their ability to export stuff, unless it's of course robot made, which AI can cross that difference for them. So again, when they say that like it hasn't fully reached America yet, and when we say it probably won't, I'm just saying that like the rise of anime is starting to slow, and it hasn't made it here yet. So I don't know if it's going to get that second, third, fourth win. I don't know what we're on yet, but whatever it is needed to cross that line into we're here. We're finally in the States, guys.
It's on a dinghy somewhere between like Japan and Cuba at this point. Yeah. Nobody really knows where it is anymore.
Well, part of
that's
it
like, it's like Magellan's trip to the United States.
Well, there was an article that came out about how Nielsen's not including anime in the numbers. And that's because they don't include like Crunchyroll or High Dive in their calculation. So that's why the article from Variety that came out and said that Dan to Dan was the most watched anime in North America. That's why it was wrong, because it doesn't include Crunchyroll. It doesn't include.
Well, is it wrong, or is it just not having all the information?
That's true.
I could
You're right.
1,000% believe that if it's on Netflix and you're getting massive Netflix numbers to the point where it's article worthy, I can see, that probably is the most popular anime of the season, of the core of whatever we want to talk about.
You're right,
just
Spencer.
Real quick sidebar. Like, what is considered massive Netflix numbers now in 2025? Because I'm being told by pro wrestling fans that if Raw gets like 2.6 million views globally in a week, that somehow that's like a big deal. But I figure that's like catastrophic for any other property, especially if you can pay like $500 million a year. But that's a completely different sidebar.
You're saying global? Yeah, that's kind of catastrophic. We're talking in terms of views. We're talking North American in terms of Dan to Dan. I think it was like what? I think the minimum was in the article I was reading, it was like 2.5 million or something like that to break into the top 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's quite a reach.
Because you had to beat Wheel of Time.
Oh, that makes sense. That's an odd bar to have, but that makes sense. Certainly.
Yeah, that's from what I remember. That's what it is. But my point was like the thing that this article said that I thought was interesting was back in 2002 that Dragon Ball Z was the most watched show among tweens and boys. For like I don't remember how long
it's been 40 years.
Feels like it, but yeah, but like this is back again. This was back in 2002 when
the Cell Saga aired 60 years ago, guys.
I know, right? But like, it's crazy how an anime at one point was the most popular thing to watch amongst like tweens and boys, like 9 to 14. You don't see anything like that anymore because of the number.
Come on, Nerdigans. No. You don't see anything like that anymore. You absolutely see that still. So here's where I'm going to push back against all this. Where I think you're getting too focused, Nerdigans, is on the base words that anime has not made it to America, right? Like, I think you're getting too hung up on that. And he's not saying anime isn't here. It's not popular. People don't like it. What he's saying is that as a sort of culture, and this is something we all talk about here on this show pretty much every week, as a sort of cultural institution, as a medium, it's not here because nobody's going to take it seriously yet in the West, specifically in America, because we don't give a shit culturally about animation. It's changing, but we're not there yet. Again, everything is, that's weird, that's kiddie. If it's not super grim, dark, serious, then I don't really, care about it. Look at Invincible. Look at when Adult Swim said, hey, Shinichiro Watanabe, you want to come back and do another anime? And he said, I want to do something like Space Dandy. And they went, oh, I wanted something serious like Cowboy Bebop. That's what they're talking about. Because right now, anime is way more popular than it ever has been, right? Like, we are getting collaborations with NFL, NBA, MLB teams on all that stuff, on auto cars, on like it's
Deadpool's got a
everywhere.
manga.
All of my, young nieces, nephews, cousins, whatever relation they are to me, they all just gush and gush and gush about things. Like, I know I have one cousin who, I don't know what she's into now, but she's super into Demon Slayer. I have a Pokemon cousin.
Do you think it's fair to say that it's popular and not mainstream at the same time? Like, it might not get like, like if you mention like somebody like random anime, it doesn't matter like what it is at this point. Like, it could be like a Curd Drive or something like that. It's like, obviously no one would know like if you just mention it by name, but there are a group of people out there that know exactly what it is and have a fan base for it. So it's like, it's in that weird, especially just here in the United States, it's in that weird kind of area where it's like mainstream yet niche at the same time, because it's like, it's not like anime is one like size fits all, you know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of other subgenres to it as well. So
But I agree with you. I agree with you, Spencer, on the front of how it's not. I don't think it's going to ever do it. I don't think Japan, anime is ever going to make it into the U.S. fully because of unless the mentality, the cartoon is for kids mentality change.
And see with that, Nerdigans, because I agree with you 100%. It's not what I caution people to focus on is like, it's not anime specifically. Don't focus on the anime, the Japan of it. Look at the animation of it, right, Nerdigans?
Yes.
None of that changes until we start getting cartoons that are better than, like for example, the MCU. We have this giant overarching thing where we can experiment with all these genres. We have all this fucking money. We have all these creators working over here on Star Wars Visions or whatever. Here's an animated series that ties us all in, and we're going to present you with some cool, outlandish scenarios. And instead of giving an animation style or anything like that, they went, let's half rotoscope CG this crap. And it feels like they had to do that because if it was cartoons, nobody would take it seriously. But then we look at that and we go, that looks like shit. Like, are we watching a bowling game? Like, did I just score a strike? Is that what I'm looking at here? So it's got to be that whole cultural upheaval. And like, it's shifting. It absolutely is. Like Jacob said, it's super niche still here, but it's still way bigger than it was back in the day. So it's shifting. But remember, we're still alive, right, Nerdigans?
Yeah.
We're still alive means it's only been 20, maybe 30 years if you want to be hyper generous, where anime has been sort of redefining what cartoons can be looked at out here in the States. So it'll take our kids, our grandkids, our grandkids.
I know Cider has a point here.
Before we get too far, hold on. Programming note. Spencer, are we pulling from the right mic? Either that, or you have like something that's making you sound like you're in a fishbowl. It sounds pretty muffled. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to cut you off because you were explaining your point, but we kind of lost you a couple times.
No worries,
Yeah.
no worries. Always feel free to cut me off. I'll fix it. Give me a sec. I'll be here.
Okay.
So
Go
here's
ahead,
the
sorry.
thing, because and you have to keep this in mind here too. It's like, obviously the overwhelming majority of anime is not particularly made for American audiences, which means that there's going to be a lot of stuff that gets over in Japan that's not going to translate well to American audiences. Like I said, perfect example of this, and me and Cider, I think you Nerdkins as well have talked about this, Japanese pro wrestling. There's a lot of aspects of Japanese pro wrestling that works very, very well to a Japanese audience. However, if you translate that to an American audience, it looks like the stupidest thing they've ever seen in their entire life, right? So you also have to keep in mind of the audience that you're essentially presenting this stuff to, because like I said, culturally, a lot of that stuff works over there, but culturally, it's not the same here as the United States. So you got to keep that in mind too. Then again, you don't want them to go like too far into we need to market ourselves towards American audiences or modern audiences, because then you're gonna start getting just dog crap.
Well, it's super funny you say that, because so I have this article. It's an article I have in the cooker. It'll come out later when we're all done. But that Marvel Tokon Fighting Spirits game, right? The Arxis one that's all super flashy, everybody's going crazy about. I was watching like a dev diary, and the developers who were Japanese, they were saying, oh yeah, when we first approached Marvel, they didn't like our designs because we were pulling, like, we went way too into like the comic booky versions, like we were playing way too close to the source material. They were the ones who said, do the anime thing, like, can you make it anime?
Wow.
So that's where we're getting into a really bad, like a dangerous point that all of these hobbies get into, which is like, oh, now people are realizing it's popular and they're going to go do an anime, do anime thing. And it doesn't always necessarily translate, right? Like Leslie Headland, Cider and I talked about this like a few weeks ago. When Leslie Headland was on the promo tour or the press tour for Acolyte, she was like, oh, one of the biggest inspirations I had for this show was Cowboy Bebop. What did you say it was, Cider? She took like one inspiration and it wasn't even like the right one. It was like the complete misread of what the show was.
Yep, as usual. Well, again, she took the sort of just, again, she didn't really even take that. It was just kind of these people having interpersonal drama in space. And that was the only thing she ever got out of it, was that people have interpersonal drama in space. And that's it. Because
pretty much.
Faye Valentine falls in love with Spike at the end. Might not be like love, we're going to get married. But she has this relationship with Spike.
Noir love, yeah.
Yeah. Where she's like, I don't want to live without you, but I also don't want to live with you. You know, that kind of like love-hate thing. She even pulls a gun on Spike when he's convinced he's going to go kill himself. And one of his lines, his final line to her is, she says, what are you going to do? You going to go kill yourself? And he says, no, I'm going to go find out if I'm alive. And none of that made it into the Acolyte at all. And that's
Sarah.
It astonished me. The only thing that I ever noticed from her that she took out was like the comedic technology that you'd find inside of Cowboy Bebop.
Right, yes.
Like, every now and then you'd find like one of those Fred Flintstone style robots that just kind of repeats a task forever and you know it's misery. And so
it's the cinematic equivalent. Yeah. It's a cinematic equivalent of like an underthrown interception. It's like you're going straight downfield expecting the ball to be there. Then about 5 yards out, you realize that it's like way short. And there's nothing that you can do.
But see, that's us. Like, we are the receivers as the audience, and Leslie's our QB, and she's going, okay, I studied the Masters. Like, I studied Tom Brady at his peak, 2006 Patriots. Like, that's where I was. All of these are like taken from him, but play like written for our team. We can do this. So you go, all right, I remember watching Tom play. I know these plays, a little well. If we do a quick review, I know what I'm doing. Break. And you go and you're like, all right, my route, I just got to go straight down the field and cut right. And you cut, and all of a sudden you're like, you're running a fucking like blitz play. Like, what is happening? That's not what we were doing. Like, and
no,
they go,
you just look back. You just look back and realize the ball's nowhere near you, and it's a pick six. Like, what the fuck just happened?
Because
I haven't a clue what's going on here, but I'll act like I do.
That's all
we're talking about football terms here, Cider.
Now a ball.
Yeah, this sphere thing that you bounce, right? That's what you do. You
Not
gotta
even a
get
sphere,
the
it's an
ball in the
egg.
basket, right?
American hand egg.
Or is that one with the with the hockey.
Imagine trying to explain to Cider, 5'7" Cider, the concept of running routes in football.
He could be a good RB.
Look, no. I told you, Jacob, that I thought that like my high school principal got a new truck and he got a license plate in front of it that said 4th and down, and my teenage brain was like, "Is that something to do with the Nazis?" I don't know anything about football whatsoever, even today. And that's
chalk that up to Maine. That's on you. That's on you on that.
Yeah.
Like that's Nazis. You know, that's but 4th and down.
Yeah, he did beat them. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, I was born in like 1960. What are you talking about, Simon?
The 4th is down. That's right. There'll never be a 5th Reich. What? I don't know. My family got into NASCAR. This was the thing, is that we were into WCW. Everybody was really enjoying it because they had like kind of that hometown hero attitude. Their villains didn't get into killing each other with electricity and things like that. And so the WCW moved over to WWF, and my parents didn't like agree with the attitude of WWF and how confrontational those gentlemen were. And they certainly didn't like Stone Cold Steve Austin. It was cracking beers over the top of his head and spraying it all over the place and disrespecting his boss. So we switched from that to NASCAR just in time to see Dale Earnhardt Jr. die. We switched from simulated violence to real life fucking death. And that was preferable to Stone Cold Steve Austin disrespecting his boss.
Yeah, now you watch this, Cider. Watch the all the tributes where they're going to replay the crash footage over and over and over.
Well, we were literally talking about this Saturday. Like, if you go back, you watch the video of like the Dale Earnhardt crash. It's like, you know, whoever won Daytona right there, it's like standing on top of his car, celebrating with like champagne and milk. Meanwhile, the worst moment of NASCAR in history is happening like 50 feet behind him. He has no idea what's going on.
He didn't hit the wall that hard, folks. I don't know what he's up to. Well, the car's not moving.
It wasn't the Benoit situation. You just can never top that one. No matter what you do, guys, you will probably not run into a Chris Benoit situation.
You know,
or 2 hours into a 3-hour tribute show, you realize he's the one who did it. It's like, oops.
At this point, it would be like if we had Star Wars Celebration going on, right, where they announce everything and they have that big like stage in the middle, that the 360 stage where they sit down and interview, and you have Jared Leto. He's like, yeah, I'm coming back for Starfighter. And all the news that came out like yesterday comes out, and they just keep rolling with it.
Let's be clear here. Did it really come out yesterday? Did it really come out? Hasn't it been known for like 20 years now, or 30 years?
It's one of those things. It's sort of like we all knew it, but now it's like confirmed. So now we can finally go like, now we can like say, like talk about it.
It's basically the Diddy situation all over again. It's like everyone knew what was going on.
There is, oh my God. I forget. It's one of the Sprouse brothers. So one of the Sweet Life of Zach
maybe
and Cody
Cole,
kids.
maybe
Cole or Dylan, whichever. One of them was on social media like for a while. Like you could tell he was using it. I think Dylan, somebody probably knows it in the chat or whatever. But the out of nowhere one day, and I'll go find the archive and bring it up later or share it in the chat for everybody to see. But Dylan makes this tweet out of nowhere one day, a couple years ago, and he's like, so Jared Leto, now that you've run through all the of age models now, are you going to like start or all the like of age models in LA, are you going to start hitting on underage ones? And then James fucking Gunn replies and is like, when did he start waiting? And it's like, there you go. Like that's what a lot of this stuff is, guys. Is that's the legal mafioso-ness of like Hollywood and like politicians.
Yeah.
Is that
the whole concept of open secrets?
Right. Exactly. We can all know, but there's always one or two little things that, you know, their lawyers will destroy us on or whatever that keeps all
it's all fun and games when they're the only ones who know, but then when the normies start figuring it out, that's when everyone goes, oh, can you believe this stuff is going on? I had no idea.
Right. And like one of my favorite examples of that,
I was at the Diddy parties, but not in that part.
Yeah.
Well, that was fucking, oh my God, what was her name? Coco, like Ice-T's wife.
Yeah.
I don't know where she just came out. She's like, I went to all of them. They were fine. And I'm like, why would you come out and admit that? Right? Nobody was looking at you. This doesn't help anybody, Coco.
Hey,
like,
but you know what? We got to be honest here and be consistent. For her, she probably was fine because let's be honest, it wasn't like there was a lot of the women out there that were going through a lot of the tremendous stuff that was happening at those parties. So for her, it was probably a pleasant experience.
Well, I don't know. With all the like, you know, I'm Diddy, I'm gonna beat the hell out of Cassie stuff. Like it could have happened. her, but I guess she's a celebrity, so maybe that's where where the deviation.
Who
happens.
knows?
But
They had all
my
those-
favorite,
Yeah.
my favorite, like we all know it, open secret type of thing was Kevin Spacey, because when it all came out, Kevin Spacey assaults, young men. He, tries to pay off people and all this stuff. There was a joke in like season 1 of Family Guy where Stewie and Brian are at the mall, and Stewie's like, I'll do it. Like, I will do it. Will you pay me $1? And Brian goes, sure. Like, you won't do it. And he starts running through the mall naked, and he's yelling, help, help. I just escaped from Kevin Spacey's basement. And it's like, everybody knew, but there's like 1 or 2 things that you can't do anything. So that's where they have to like swing like that. Like, Seth threw it out
Everybody knew, and then the next thing you know, all the witnesses died, and then the charges got dropped because there's no one alive to press him anymore.
See, I live so far away
Nobody's
from
alive.
I live so far away from California, like I can't even fathom some of this stuff, because like when I was watching like even Baby Driver, when just before all this stuff emerged about Spacey, like I don't know, like weeks was when that movie came out, and then weeks later Spacey got nailed for, well, that's a bad word. Spacey got wow, that's not a really good way to say this. He was accused, let's put it that way, there's a nice word, of all this. See, I was watching that and I was like, I never in my mind was like, that guy's gay. Never. I watched his movie with Superman Returns. Nope. Never in my mind was like, that guy's gay. Never. I was like, I either have the most broken gaydar in the world, or that man is always acting.
Well,
He's never not in
Notice
character.
Like the people who call this out, the open secrets, they come from like the industry. Like we're talking like Seth MacFarlane, Dylan Sprout, James Gunn. We out here, that's like the point, isn't it? Like project a fake life. I'm an actor. Here's my wife, and then you go home at night, she goes to bed or whatever, and you go screw the pool boy. I can, like, everybody, like, not everybody, but a lot of people have beards and have faked it. What was that guy's name? Like, Brock Hudson, right? Or Rock Hudson. Everybody thought he was, like, the ladies' man, and then he turned out to be, like, the gayest thing since a rainbow.
Oh, I remember the Flintstones episode with that guy. And then when all that came out, I was like, this is really weird now that Wilma and Betty are falling all over him. And he only wants to talk to Barney and Fred. It's so weird.
Women fawn over gay guys all the time before they realize what.
No, I know, but like,
how they are.
Like when I was a little kid watching the Flintstones, I was like, Rock Hudson, that must be a Hollywood movie star. And of course, my father told me about him being an actor, and then that stuff came out about him. But it was after I saw that episode of the Flintstones. So when I go back to my memory of Rock Hudson, my only memory of him is him being a guest star on the Flintstones, Wilma and Betty trying to get his attention, and him only trying to pay attention to Barney and Fred. And now I'm like, they knew back then even.
They knew, exactly. Everybody in that studio were like, oh, you talked to Rock for like 1 minute. We know. And they're like,
yeah, he's one of those.
I mean, let's be honest here.
One of those.
As someone who was a little closer to LA and that scene, I know people who worked in the industry, and they slipped me a few open secrets about some people.
Yep.
And let's just put it this way. I'm more of the mindset that I'm more surprised to find out someone's straight. Because pretty sure everyone has some kind of shady past going on behind closed doors. I mean, I don't want to throw anyone particularly under the bus and get like accused of being like, oh, he libeled me. But let's be honest here. I've seen at least 3 or 4 movies I can think of off the top of my head that have all made allusions to the fact that Channing Tatum is gay. And it's not that, these are just jokes. Like, he's in the movie and they're literally mocking him for being gay in the movies. There's been several of these now. So when you see these jokes keep reoccurring, you have to start asking yourself, okay, what party did they attend behind closed doors, and what did they see behind closed doors that involved Channing Tatum? Because they all seem to be poking and prodding at him all the time. So it's like, what's going on here?
Now, I have to ask, have you heard about this ongoing joke?
Oh boy, here we go.
Here we go. We're going to watch
is this what I think? Yeah, have fun with
It
this,
is.
everybody. Have
Here
fun
we
with
go.
this. I'm going to be quiet. Like, just have fun with it.
Treaties were signed, promises made and broken. Is it
Just pause
take
for a
back
second.
what was
For 1 second. It's like literally, and I hate that they're this predictable. They literally watched that one scene from Black Panther, and that was the entire inspiration behind this movie. And you can tell just seconds into the trailer, that's all this was.
It's so bad and on the nose that, like, even the people like in Kotaku's orbit or whatever, like people who read that, they're like, really, guys? Really?
We'll get to why even Kotaku can defend this stuff. We'll get to that in a second.
take back what was stolen.
Stolen? Who's stealing them?
Us. Those are facial expressions human beings make, if you don't know.
It's time to get out of there.
Let me introduce a friend of mine. Smart, agile, and will let you look into places with the tightest security.
Like the girls' locker room.
I could probably bench press every one of them.
The locksmith strikes again. Hold on.
Okay, so the gameplay is really nice, but it's also really noisy.
Yeah,
so we're
right.
just gonna get back into the cutscenes, and we'll talk about the gameplay in a minute here. But yeah, all right, we were already out of it anyway. Never mind.
Listen, are you having second thoughts?
Nope. Just hoping you won't get me killed.
Yeah.
That's how humans talk.
Yeah.
I know what you and your little crew are
He's
doing.
like the dude from Secret Squirrel, his like assistant, the mole guy.
Yeah.
Nobody threatens my family or my friends and gets away with it. So we are going to do whatever it takes to take back Africa's belongings, and we're going to do it together.
So there's there it is. Relooted. That's what they decided to call this. Relooted.
It's just like at every turn,
it is.
You made the wrong decision with what you were going to do, right? It's just like at every single.
Oh, I'm surprised at the end they didn't just do a Wakanda Forever. Like, might as well have, right?
Get somebody get eyes on like the release date. If this comes up against like Ironheart or the Wakanda animated series, guarantee we're gonna get some sort of crossover DLC. I almost guarantee it.
This is literally full circle woke. It's like you become so woke, you created a video game where the objective is black people stealing things. That's literally what you've done.
Nailed it.
We looked into this studio, by the way, and it's not what you think it would be. We thought it was going to be like a European or a Canadian or an American studio. It's not. It's a South African studio, and we found the team. This is who the team
That's
is.
almost even worse.
Seriously, get the South Africans out of here.
These guys got pretty big after they put out Semblance. I think it's Semblance, something like that. A game with
Semblance right
Nintendo.
here. But-
Semblance.
Yeah.
Nintendo really, really liked that game. It made the top 100 Nintendo games of the year it came out, and that was the first sub-Saharan made African game to accomplish this. So they were very proud of that. So,
but the thing that got me
very
was
interesting
this.
delineation to make. It just could be the first African game, but maybe Egypt did it first. I'm not sure, but
The thing that got me was this. Our games are African inspired and made by a diverse and inclusive team based primarily in South Africa and all across Africa. It was the diverse and inclusiveness of it all. That
really,
was-
I thought this was hilarious. So just don't take in the cast. Look into the letter placement. Fuck those two guys.
Yeah,
Fuck
right.
them especially. Our diverse team, except for these two motherfuckers.
You couldn't lower it or higher it like a normal. Mm-hmm.
Like, God forbid we put the about our team down here on the coffee table where it wouldn't.
Or like across their legs or whatever.
But then again, maybe that's a good thing. I mean, let's be honest. Do you really want to be associated with this project for the rest of your life?
They have plausible deniability.
And this team is only made up of 30 people, according to their website.
Well, that's good. They
Nothing wrong
did a
with
pretty
that.
comparable game for 30 people. I just think that their plot was a little heavy-handed in the message that they wanted to send.
Like I said, they literally watched the Killmonger scene from Black Panther 1, and they were like, oh, well, this was a game. So it's like, because, all these European museums have stolen our African artifacts. Let's go back there and steal them back. Well, first of all, they're not yours. Like, let's stop using the term ours as if somehow, like, you bought it.
That's the point of the Killmonger scene is he just sees random Africa shit and goes,
Yeah.
oh, Africa meat. That would be like me as a Filipino going like, oh, I identify super hard with that samurai katana.
Yeah.
Like, no, like you're being a fucking loser weeb and get the hell out of my face. So,
like, first of all, you don't know if any of these things were stolen. Some of these things may have been gifts. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but most museums aren't inherently evil. I mean, there are, let's be honest, there's a few museums out there that, if we were to test the validity of some of their artifacts, they were probably swapped out. They were probably swapped out a long time ago.
we all unfortunately saw Wonder Woman 1984.
Mhm.
We know that can happen very regularly. That's what happens.
But let's just put it this way. Do you honestly believe that the museum that holds the Mona Lisa, that's the real Mona Lisa? Like, do you think that they would leave something like that up to...
Yeah, only with that one, yes, because I've seen it in person and it's bullshit. Okay, we see like the Mona Lisa all the time. It's this big painting. It is like this
It's not as
fucking big.
tiny. Yeah,
it is
it's
like
tiny.
this. So I could believe that if a thief wanted to go in and steal it, they would get there and be like, "That's it." Fuck that. Like, I know that this museum, the Louvre...
All the Nicolas Cage movies told me it was like 6 feet tall.
Right, exactly. It's like, God damn, we fell for the
What is this, the
media
Temu
lie.
version?
There's like Thief Tube or whatever. It's like top 10.
Oh my God.
I didn't know inflation hit facts art too.
Oh my God, no! But like, if you go, because I posted in this thread the whole setting for this. The timing of this freaking game announcement is everything.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Oh, because LA's on fire at the moment. Is that why
Is
it's
this
just
one?
time?
Yeah, this is
Right
the
here?
one.
Okay. So, reclaim real African artifacts from Western museums in this African futurist heist game. You'll note in that entire trailer, not a single white person was present at all, or a
Yeah.
person even resembling a white person. There was an angry robot, though, and I
I don't
assume
care
that's...
Who cares about that?
The
Again,
white
I'm not
people-
going to engage in, where are the black people, but reverse. Like, I
No,
don't
that's not what I
No,
mean. It's that
the
they're
white-
saying it's from Western museums, but there was no like bumbling security guard guy like Ben Stiller's character running around. So the only thing I wanted to
they
point
were
out was
breaking
that
in at night. In the
that's
future,
the whole
they got
premise of
robots.
Night at the Museum.
They have
That's the whole
robots in the
premise.
future. Why would you hire somebody to walk around?
Well, you'd have someone in the security room.
Why would you hire security?
Future.
Why would you hire security at night when you have millions of dollars worth of artifacts just lying around your museum? Why would you do something like that?
It's robots.
I get what
don't know
Spencer. I get what Spencer's saying. It's just the opportunity to have that character dunked on wasn't there, and that was
Guys,
the point I was.
guys,
getting
we
to.
we gave the McDonald's robot a job for a reason.
It wasn't a cute Spider-Man scene where she swung in and like took the guy's card key and he didn't notice. There wasn't any scene like that. It was. That's all I'm pointing out is that there wasn't a character getting dunked on.
Now that would be a hell of a game twist. You have like Africans trying to like steal artifacts from museums, and then they have like deadly robots, security bots that like shoot people with like live ammunition. So now all of a
That's
sudden
what
it's like
this
African
is.
versus robots.
That's what this is.
But no, they're on this one. They're using like kind of like that stupid like futuristic space laser nonsense. Like, I need death bots. I don't need like Resident Evil 1 type stuff.
Like you can't have death bots are inherently weird and Resident Evil 1-y. Like
Well, because I forgot there's two. Because there's the White Queen and the Red Queen. I forgot there's two different iterations of that.
whole weird thing.
It got weird after 3.
It was like 1 weird but okay, 2 still weird. But like
Because it was like it started evil, then it became good, then it got evil again for no reason whatsoever, and then it wasn't even in the factor in this last movie.
Yeah, it just like went up and down and up and down.
So-
So what Jacob's getting at here, I think, is actually sort of the bigger takeaway from this is what we have here is a concept that is not inherently like, looting from a museum, taking things from a place, fighting against robot guards or whatever. Could be cool, might be cool. You have a lot of potential. But as we've seen with so many projects before, they looked at that scene from Wakanda Forever or from the first Black Panther. You can see the team is, black and white, and it's also, Africa, different relations over there with all that stuff. They just went, I think this is going to be like good and helpful, and I'm doing like a thing, and they just don't realize that they are hitting like all the wrong points. So
Well, this is the problem though, because you don't have anyone in these circles. Like I said, we mentioned this before many times. Like, you don't have anyone in these circles who have the audacity to just like sit there, raise their hand, and be like, "Does anyone not see the problem with a bunch of black people stealing from corporate? Does anyone not see that as an issue?"
That's like the problem, right? Is because what I was going to point out is we have a lot of the people in these upper, or not even just in the upper ranks, but just like people in general, really, we can make a delineation between like people who are actively trying to inflame quote unquote woke stuff and people who are just normal folks who think they're doing like the right thing. Again, different delineation. But what happens a lot is I'm taking in these messages. I want to do like the right thing. I want to help. They go into that stereotype for some reason. It's the same thing that happened with Simu Liu and Shang-Chi, where Simu was like, finally, Asian representation. We're blowing out the Marvel universe. And it's like, as
I thought you were about to bring up the whole Boba Tea incident from a couple of months back.
Why don't we get it started? We cannot do that.
No.
Like, oh, this is cultural appropriation, so I'm not going to support your company.
That's
Fuck
the
you.
bigger problem. Is like the reason nobody stood up is because I genuinely think nobody thought for like a second, right?
Mhm.
Like nobody actually had that thought of like, this is bad. It was like, oh hell yeah, we're reclaiming, we're doing this for ourselves, and it's like, you like think for 1 second, is the Asian guy being a kung fu hero like really the breakthrough? Is that what you want to die on? What are we doing here?
Well,
and like the equivalent if you went, oh, Adam Sandler has redefined like Jewish representation in media, and it's his character from Uncut Gems, who's like a loan shark who shits all over everybody, right? Like that's, you're not doing this. Just sit down. We'll make it. We got this.
So this game, we're just gonna kind of skip through the premise here. So this game is sort of built around the idea that the Transatlantic Returns Treaty, I think that was in the early 2000s, that came up to the UN, and they had some debate over it, and it just didn't come to be. But it was something that was discussed at some point in the early aughts. I don't know if it came back, but it was a Transatlantic Returns Treaty. This game predicates that this is something that came to be in their world, and yet the museums that had either the most or at least some very precious artifacts took them into private collections or behind armored vaults and refused to give them back to the nations that they are now legally required to do so. And so this is the cover the characters are given for why they are going in and mostly peacefully looting these places.
Mostly.
So, but also, that's the thing. That actually isn't a real treaty. We've never entered into any sort of real formal agreement to do that. So that's a fictional thing they invented to do, like, push the, which is like even more unbelievable because I'm like, the UN, they're all assholes. They're not going to care about this. Like, no way. It's the equivalent of when in Captain America Brave New World in the very beginning, Harrison Ford is like, oh yes, America just discovered a giant new reserve of this new material, adamantium, in the Celestial.
Look,
and we will make sure all of our allies get it. I was like, when have we ever done that? No, we won't. Like, get the hell out of my face.
Look, if we're being completely honest with ourselves, nobody in the UN has a real job. If we really break it down to fundamentally, they're just fake jobs. They're all fake jobs.
So they've melded in here. The studio with this game has melded in this fake treaty having passed through, but also they took their fake treaty and decided, no, they're going after real African artifacts, not fictional ones, not ones that are unique to this world. So they're weaving all of that. Well, it's been a point of controversy for people that are talking about it. So, because again, they want to go back and forth about if the museum actually stole this stuff, or if it was gifts, or if it was preserved during wartime.
I don't really care if you were using real artifacts. Like that's.
I mean, like I said, it's real in the sense that, yeah, they actually exist, but it's not like real in the context of the game. I do understand that. At the same time, like we just mentioned that at the top of this whole thing, it's like, do these people even know or care that, hey, maybe some of these artifacts were given to the museums as gifts? Maybe they like I said, in these people's mind, they think that, just some white slave owner with like a elephant gun just came out there and just like started shooting people and then stole the mask away from them.
Stole it.
And then 500 years later, it just ended up in France. Like everyone thinks that's how it works. It's like it's really not.
That is how it works. We can't ignore that. That is how it works. There's delineations, dude. We went in like the Dutch. They fucked up the Congo, right? Like this stuff happens. That's the problem, though, is that nobody here wants to have like on our sides or on their sides. Nobody wants to have nuance. So there's no, oh, let's, we're only hitting these specific museums that are screwing us over. It's let's take back everything. Or over here, we're going, none of that ever happened. No way. Everybody gave it as gifts. And it's like, that is categorically false.
Right. There's always different stories around this stuff. And this is all, it would just be much more interesting if this wasn't about stealing things. Like these guys could have had a.
And then there's also the third option that, the real artifact was broken like several years ago because some clumsy janitor knocked it over.
Boy.
And they just, so they're going through all this to steal essentially what was a copycat.
If there was like a mechanic for the player to like investigate that wasn't just super obvious Batman.
Put it to you this way, you guys. Okay, this is going to be a very, very baked reference, but somebody out here is going to get it. Remember that one episode of Lizzie McGuire when they were trying to replace her dad's football, and then the football fell into the fire, and they thought it was a Walter Payton football, that he brought it back as a Dick Buckus football, and then she had to go on and say, "Oh wow, I can't believe you got that because I totally kicked that one into the fire. That was a fake football the whole time." And I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Like, oh man, you're like, what the fuck? You blew our entire cover.
Yeah,
like that's the thing. I don't think this inherent idea of like doing heists is a bad thing. Like I think that could be a lot of fun, even if you're doing museum
gameplay looks great.
Even if you're doing specific like African missions or whatever, right? It's just how are we packaging this? How are we doing the setting? And everything that you can see here is so surface level in its inspiration, right? Okay, it's the Black Panther scene. Okay, it is Guardians of the Galaxy again. It's just like, can we move? Like, I got heavy Concord vibes.
And the elephant in the room here is that maybe if this came out, like, when was Black Panther released? Like 7 years ago, maybe it would have been a little bit more timely. But now you're talking, like I said, I think there was like another conversation we had at Guardians like a month or two ago. But like, this is not the type of content you want to release while Black fatigue is trending on Twitter at the moment. Like, it's just not a good time for a lot of this right now.
I mean, it is, but again, they're African, like they're South African. They're completely detached from what we have going on over here.
Fair enough.
Well, the other thing I was thinking is that why not have like a national treasure situation, but like set in Africa instead?
Oh, that's fun. Going to different locations. Follow the map. African Nicolas Cage. I am 100% ready for African Nicolas Cage.
Especially since Africa has a really rich history and it's really untouched history in video games.
Sure.
So why not touch that?
They could be specializing in this first game and uncovering the relics from the Songhai Empire. They went through 7 civil wars. Of course there's shit that's going to be scattered all over that region. That would be great to have to go find these. Of course, they could be private collectors that have like wartime armies protecting their lands and stuff. And they don't want this stuff stolen because they have an attachment to it. So you have the whole interpersonal drama of who actually has a reason to be mad about this.
Guys, you guys are basically just describing the plot of Legends of the Hidden Temple. I don't know if you guys realize this.
Oh yeah,
essentially what you're
doing. We're trying to get that revival going.
Nicolas Cage as Olmec might be pretty good. It might be pretty good.
At this point in his career, I actually think he would like.
I gotta pay a lot of alimony. I'm more than happy to be your Olmec man.
He's like, oh yeah, I can record this in between Spider-Man Noir that we're not going to start recording anyway.
I finally got the IRS off my back, so now I have to focus on my ex-wife.
I still have a really spooky grave though in New Orleans.
Did you know I own 7 haunted houses? I don't know why.
Apparently, buying a pyramid was not a good investment.
Yeah, right. Only like two now because of that.
Nobody tells you you're not supposed to buy the pyramid. You're only supposed to bid on it. And they wait to tell you that late.
the pyramid, that's his mausoleum, and that's actually the only one he legally still has because the IRS cannot come for burial plots. Like it's a law, so they couldn't touch that, and that's all he has.
He's going to be buried in a pyramid.
In like a big old cemetery in like New Orleans or something, like one of the most haunted ones. He's going all Zach Baggins on this.
I was gonna say
you see Cider that movie with Pedro Pascal, that was a documentary. It wasn't a fiction.
Yeah, right. Like
that was just what found footage. That was or like Jackass or Life with Bam. It was like that.
Was that the devil something or other? Was that the one where he was playing the devil?
Sympathy for the Devil.
Yeah, Sympathy for the Devil. Yeah. Where he was. That's how I expect every day of Nicolas Cage's life to go. That's every single day. It's just average Nicolas Caging.
Just say get behind thee, Satan, and then shoot somebody in the face.
Something like that. Speaking of getting shot in the face, we have.
Whoa, where's this gonna go? Can you go X-rated?
This is going.
It's like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, I thought we were talking about the other story.
No.
So yeah, I think we're gonna avoid that story tonight.
Yeah, we're not gonna bring up the Santa's Village unhappy hug time that's happening. So anyway,
all I have to say is stay at MGM, baby. Don't go to Bellagio.
so Warner Brothers Discovery is splitting into two, believe it or not.
Jacob called it. There it is.
With a company focused on studios and HBO Max, and another focused on stuff that your grandpa probably cares about. Oh, and sports rights, so that's neat.
Except it's not, because so they had the call announcing this or whatever, and Zaslav he straight up said, sports has never been a big mover for HBO. Like, we don't kind of care about it right now. So this is literally what we're seeing here, everyone, is the thing that I've been asking Jacob about for about like 2 years now, that Jacob has been saying is going to happen. Warner Brothers Discovery, that merger clearly didn't fucking work out. Who would have thought that those two brands and networks would have had completely different aims and goals? So,
who would think that when you've been holding on to debt that's been owned for the last 30 years, going back to the days of Ted Turner, that somehow this merger was not going to work to begin with?
It's another one of those things where I remember we were all here on this stream probably when they announced Zaslav, and we were like, finally, someone's going to do something to kick it into gear. Unfortunately, he kind of made it worse, or like, if not worse, kept it about the same awful. So what we have now we have two entities, one that it has pretty much all of the profitable Warner Brothers stuff, and then another that has everything that is like debt heavy from the other things like TNT, Warner Brothers, just all of that stuff is now kind of thrown to its side. So what Warner Brothers is now is like their studio segments, which is their movies, TVs, video games. I think they still have Warner Music, which is still going somehow, I guess. But then, and then like various, like they have Max, I think, right? Like HBO and all those subsidiaries. So what we're looking at basically, guys, is, okay, this is where I always get confused, and you and Cider can probably have better insight on this, Jacob, because like, in my mind, yes, they're offloading all of that crap into that one, let's say the Discovery company, and it's just going to float out there now, right? Like, that debt's never going to get settled. I feel like you just keep jumping this around until maybe there's like one company left that it's like, oh, we own the licensing rights to Mops, and then that can shut down with $7 billion of debt.
I mean, there's a lot to unpack with this whole situation, because essentially what they're doing is that they're re-splitting up Warner Brothers and what was Scripps, I believe it was called beforehand. That was the networks that had like Discovery, HGTV, and all that stuff beforehand. So that was the merger, I think, happened in 2018. I want to say when that one occurred. So they're essentially re-splitting up those networks and trying to make it seem like this is like a new like thing. But it's like, you guys just literally combined all of this into one unit, like what, 4 years ago, officially, like 3 or 4 years ago, and now you're splitting it back up. And you think that essentially by having two different companies again, you can make your portfolio look a little better on paper, because everyone knows that you guys are just bleeding money, and you've been bleeding money now for 30 years. I mean, how much of this debt has just been rolled over for 30 straight years, all the way from Ted Turner to AOL, to AOL to AT&T, to Scripps to Warner Brothers. It's like they just keep recycling this debt over and over again, and no matter how many times they try to fix this situation, it only ends up snowballing and getting worse, because hey, guess what? It's actually not easy to erase $50 billion in debt and stay operational, and they have to,
when you're throwing it into things like The Flash, right? Like, come on, guys. Come on, guys.
I mean, even, let's be honest here, they went all in on the Superman movie that's coming out this summer, and I mean, is there any real buzz for the Superman movie? I mean, it has to be an absolute home run in order for anyone to care about any future DC movie coming up, because let's be honest, like, James Gunn has not excited anyone about the, I guess you can say, the announcements of films that he's going to be working on in this DC film universe that he's building right now. Superman was the big one. Superman had to be the one, like I said, it had to be essentially the DC version of Avengers. Like, if this doesn't work, everything else we're planning moving forward is going to fall flat on its face. And what out there is there that anyone's really truly excited for? And that's basically going to carry the entire streaming and studios division, because what else do they have going for them at this point? A lot of the stuff that's supposed to be streaming in studios, they've cut severely over the last 3 years. So that one really doesn't have a whole lot of leg to stand on. So then you're basically looking at your global networks, and yeah, sure, you got a couple of winners in there. Like I said, Discovery, HDTV. I would say TNT before they lost Inside the NBA, but that's a whole other conversation. But you also got some stinkers in there too. I mean, Adult Swim has seen better days. CNN has had a rough go of things. You've already pretty much told everyone that TNT Sports is going to be null and void here. So it's like, who really excited for baseball and hockey? So it's like, you've mixed. It's hard. And then of course you tried to sneak Discovery Plus in the TV networks, like no one was gonna notice.
I want to show you this. So they collaborated with Amazon now that you'll get early access tickets if you're an Amazon Prime member, and they go on sale tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and you can get these, and you can see Superman on July 7th as opposed to when all the other people are gonna see it.
This is, I hate this. Like, I feel like this was another one of those things like we all knew was coming, but now that it's actually here, now I'm actually reacting, and I hate it. Like early access for movies, like what the fuck are we doing? Especially in an age where like social media exists, so all those people get to go out on July 8th or whatever, watch it, and depends on, if it's good word of mouth, you get lucky, but if it's bad, then they all get to shit all over it, and then you kill your opening day box office for that. I don't know. That seems dumb. Like, that doesn't sound, because here's the thing. Or go ahead, Cider. No, go ahead.
The only thing I want to put in here is that the studios are torn. Disney's saying streaming's dead. Most of the studios are confused how to get people into movie theaters. That's all I want to point into. So this is obviously an attempt to bridge that gap.
Oh, 1,000. No, it's definitely bridging that gap, but it's also, it just feels
dumb,
weird, dumb, desperate. Just not the right kind of moves you would want to make for something where you really want everybody to come in, because it's like Jacob said, this is your kickoff point, right? Like, if this goes really, really bad, or even if it goes really, really good, who knows like what the rest of the DCU is going to look like. In my opinion, I'm excited for Superman. I have no faith in literally anything else that's coming down the line. We've already had like 2 big sessions where Gunn's like, oh yeah, that wasn't happening, that's canceled now, we're adding this, and I'm like, all right, you're already doing the wrong thing. Like, you have Creature Commandos, which we want to call it like a 0.5 like entry, right? And then you have Superman, and now you're already going off the edge with this and that and that, and I'm just like, all right, Gunn, you're getting way too over your head.
Well, and again, like, this is more emblematic of how desperate this whole contest has become for, if not Warner Brothers, then maybe just like arguably the greater entertainment chasm as a whole, because video games, like we talk about this right now with all these overblown video game budgets, but we've been talking about this with movie budgets for a long time. There is no reason on earth to make a $200 million movie anymore. There's no reason for this anymore. There's no reason to take 5 years to make a movie anymore. There's no reason to do this anymore. All you have to do, look, this Ryan Gosling thing with Star Wars, I am so pissed that it's not some guys with a camera in the woods fucking around for a few hours, because that's all it should be. It should be Ryan Gosling with a lightsaber he doesn't own, fighting his way through either zombie Ewoks or zombie stormtroopers with a heavy metal background that's got that dun, 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 the whole Star Wars chord in it. Great.
See, you did metal with Star Wars, and I immediately I was like, that, like I was going into the Halo.
Oh yeah, no. Star Wars. There's the whole Star Wars.
Yeah. Oh no, I know. My brain was the dumb one there.
But they're not. They're going to go with this overblown thing, just like they're going with this overblown Superman movie, because it's a clown car. James Gunn couldn't resist turning this into a soft Justice League launch. He couldn't resist launching an entire universe out of this. Now, I did this with my Colossals comic. I made sure that I introduced all my heroes at once. But I am a rank amateur. I do not come with 20 years of filmmaking, script writing, bullshit artisting behind me before attempting such an act, okay? But James Gunn Superman's a character you don't need to do this with. I had to sell an entire universe to people because I am a complete unknown. Superman is not an unknown character. You don't need to give him a whole universe, though. No, what I want to say is you don't need to give him a whole universe to work with. Look what happened in Superman the Animated Series. Superman would have guest stars, but he was perfectly fine to carry out whatever the hell the mayhem in Metropolis was. He couldn't always rely on his superpowers because of the need for delicate hands in situations where being Superman was a hindrance to his mission. And so James Gunn was like, nope, strong man punch things. And that was his like conclusion. Like, Superman's not interesting by himself. We need a clown car of characters to paint this up.
So I actually disagree with that read a lot. I don't think this is, oh, Superman dumb. We got to make him exciting, because for all of the problems all of us have with James Gunn, at the end of the day, personally, I do believe he really likes this stuff. Like he really does care about giving like a good interpretation of it. Does he?
Well, yeah, he's a mark, definitely, but like, is he the guy who should be in charge of this project? That's kind of the question I would lean towards.
All right, I'll wrap them in. This can all go together. I got this. Don't worry. So, with the addition of all the other heroes, that's not unheard of. We've done that before. I am actually in favor of it here because I like the idea that we are just going into this world. It is alive. I don't think we're going to sit there and have a 40-minute section where it's like, here's Hawk Girl's origin, here's Green Lantern's origin. I think we're just going to show up. I really hope not. But I think we're just going to show up. There they are. The problem doesn't come in with what he's doing in Superman specific. Like, if we just look at that with what the heroes he's bringing in, with the role Superman is playing, he's really doing I think Gunn is leaning really hard on the Kingdom Come storyline, which if you guys haven't revisited in a while, anybody out there, it is Superman retires like from being a superhero because there's a new generation is rising up and they don't want to listen to him. They start being more wild, more chaotic, more violent. So he comes down and he's like, we need to, be better than this. Like, we're better heroes. It all ends when they get into a war and Superman realizes like, okay, it's not about, my side or their side. We got to work together and make these solutions going forward. So I think Superman is going to be pretty well done. It's going to feel really organic. To Jacob's point, that's where I fear the rest of the DCEU, because I think Gunn got really far ahead of himself and he cares a little too much about making everything interconnected, and he gets really big, ambitious plans. And we've often seen that they don't really materialize into anything. And then, so that's where I am with like Gunn and that. The only other thing I'm going to add, because I missed saying it at the top, is I agree with you, Cider, where like this isn't a universe that you need to necessarily sell to everybody. Like, everybody knows Superman, but let's step away from where we are. Remember, the normies all just had to deal with the Zack Snyder shit, which was nothing crosses over, nothing, is even blue or yellow, like without being, super, super dark. So I think, he has to reestablish that this is like Superman. He's not all dark and brooding. And also, like, if we're having a superhero universe, everybody's going to cross over, because that's what it doesn't always work out for them, but Marvel is better at that, where they'll have, for example, No Way Home, when Peter Parker is being, everybody found out his identity. They're, yelling outside of his apartment. His lawyer, Matt Murdock. That was, they're really good about that. And I just feel like DC, they were never that in their in the Snyderverse, right? Did we even oh my God. Well, that didn't even, I was going to say, we got Diana in Batman v Superman, but then she ends up being like a main member of the team.
The only thing that ever kind of got through was the addition that Bruce Wayne was on the ground when the Zod fight was happening. That was the only kind of like thing fit together with other thing, and the Wayne satellite was brought down during that fight.
I remember that.
It was less about the character being involved in the story and more about you being aware that they were there. That's it.
Yes.
And so again, lazy writing with Snyder. So.
Well, because then with Snyder, right? With Snyder, right? Snyder is
right. 5 times fast.
I had to like pause for that one. Is that's a good moment. Like, I actually, everything about it, like the filming, the use of it, that scene where Bruce like saves the kid and like sees Superman and Zod fighting, that's good. I like that. But then he makes that so the point of everything. Like that's where Bruce goes and becomes Batman, and that's why he's got all these things. And it's like it's the same thing they do with Star Wars, where they go, we have a galaxy of tales, but everything is going, everything goes back to Luke Skywalker, which is like, can we do anything else, please? Like,
well, and the thing is that we're up against that whole what the audience expects sort of thing, and that's the trouble. You slap Star Wars on something, people expect Luke Skywalker to be in it, and that's fair. That's fair. You slap a Superman logo, you expect the movie to be about Superman, and you find out that, well, it's going to primarily center on him, but there's a lot of other characters in the background. And for me, I just miss the Donner movies that were just Superman, yuck 'em upping. He could be walking into the diner and there's a story about Batman and they have a blurry photo of like a Bigfoot picture of Batman running across the rooftop.
That's the problem, is like those are the subtle little details. They used to do that a lot in the early like phase 1 of Marvel.
Yes.
They can't do that anymore, Cider, because they have to have everybody go, did you fucking see? Did you fucking see?
Yeah.
Like remember in Thor 1 when he's breaking into the hammer site and he's like blowing through all the shield agents and he gets to the hammer, last second Fury goes, are you up there? And you see a guy.
There's Hawkeye.
Yeah, but they don't say it. They don't even say Clint. They just say like, are you up there? Are you ready? He draws. Fury talks to Thor. Down. He's gone. There's no more like focus on that was Agent Hawkeye Barton. It was like none of that. It was like, oh, this is how things would really play out. And I think that kind of kills it. That's going to be the difference, at least. So I hear you, Cider, and I think I just got a fear right now from us talking. It's that fear of how are they going to highlight everybody, or not highlight, but how are they going to treat the characters? Are they going to
care about them?
Well, not so much that, but like, are we going to sit there and go like, that's Guy Gardner, the Green Lantern who did this, and it's like,
that's right.
That? Or are we going to just have Guy land and Superman's going to be like, oh, it's you again, like we're really doing this, and he'll, what, you didn't like what I did over in Russia or whatever, and it's like, no, not really. That's it, right? Like that's. I hope it's more that and less. I really pray. I think he's better now, but I don't know the studios. I don't think we're gonna get the dumb Suicide Squad like intro, like Hot Topic banners. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Well, let's put it to you this way. I think for this particular movie, for this particular project, James Gunn is going to have to mute himself if it's going to be any success whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think part of the plan moving forward is that, hey, look, mute yourself for Superman, give us a decent Superman movie, and then you can go full James Gunn on all the other projects that you want to go forward on. So it's like he'll pull back for this one because he knows that he can put all his fingerprints all over all the other movies that he has coming along the way. So
no,
well, and the other thing is
what I think is going on here.
DC has a very bad habit of seeing something work in Marvel and then like poorly copying that homework.
Yeah, like 7 years later.
Yeah, and so they see this ensemble movie thing working out for them very well. So that might, again, I asked myself, why didn't they confirm a new Batman? They just tell us that Matt Reeves' Batman isn't today is not tied to the MCU.
Today.
Okay. And that's what I want to stress is that like, I don't understand why they didn't cast a new Batman. It's not, I know that they don't want to piss in Matt Reeves' cereal, but again, like to James Gunn and his plan, Matt Reeves' movie thing does not matter. So I don't know why they didn't do it other than they're saving Batman to be part of an ensemble movie that happens later on with Batman leading. And then he's also accompanied like, again, with Mr. Terrific and other heroes that have sort of a somber attitude about expressing. Maybe we'll see Zatanna join like the Justice League Dark. It'll probably, what? Now that I said it, that's probably what he'll be the introduction to is Justice League Dark. And that's how Superman and Batman will become friends as they discover they have similar Justice League teams that they were otherwise unaware of thanks to Maxwell Lord.
Oh my! They're gonna. Oh my! Okay, hold on. To address Cider's point, yes, I see that, and I see it even more because Thunderbolts, right? Like everybody pretty much liked Thunderbolts, even though it didn't do very well. Everybody has been pretty like that was a good Marvel movie. Oh my God. What is the premise of that movie? Another Avengers team being built. And then that's going to be the big conflict for Doomsday. I can 1,000% see Cider's.
You'll build another team again.
Right, exactly. They'll make Justice League Unlimited, right? But if that doesn't happen, my personal cynical read, like I'm still with Cider. I just think when it comes to Batman, I really do think Gunn is saving that for like, oh, we fucked up. Like, we really need to get hyped back into this, right? Like, you leave with Superman, you try your other guys. You know, we have a Green Lantern thing, we have some Wonder Woman related stuff. But if all that goes down, what can you do that will do like Jurassic World easy, you know, 2 billion? A Batman movie. Like, somehow the Flash made money, and a lot of that was because they leaned really hard on Batman's here.
Yeah, a Batman movie with Zantana in it. So you got your big booby magician girl in stockings running around, and that'll sell all the tickets. So you get that ballerina girl to do it.
Oh, Anna de Armas. She's so short.
Well, in heels, that won't be a problem.
Or also just, you know, movie magic. Or
that's true.
Give her Robert Downey Jr. shoes. Those always make me laugh.
Yeah, those goofy. Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro shoes.
No, the Robert Downey Jr. Like when he's playing Tony Stark to be on the level of the other Avengers, he's got like 7-inch platform.
God, it sucks to be short in Hollywood. I'm so glad I didn't become an actor. I just
feel
left
bad
it
for
at
Tom
stage.
Cruise. Tom Cruise is really short too. Remember?
All of them
Rupert,
Yeah.
whoever that guy that played Harry Potter had to stand on a box.
Oh, Rupert.
Like
Grint.
I remember that he had to stand on a
Rupert
box. He had to stand on a box. I remember when I learned that of Rupert, whatever his name is. I remember
it like breaks. You're like, wait a minute.
Well, I remember laughing my ass off because I was like, I don't know, I was like 17 or 18, and like all the girls had a crush on Harry Potter when I was a kid. And finally to find out that he's short like me, I was like, ha! Fuck you!
That's right. I am what you want.
I've been the short magic man all along.
I can put your kid under the stairs. Come on.
The Warner Brothers Discovery split does not bode well for James Gunn's vision. And like Spencer says, Batman is clearly being kept off to the side as oh shit, we fucked up. We need something to make lots and lots of money right now. Pull the Batman lever.
And it could, you know what? Our two theories could run together. They could be saving that for, oh shit, we got, we had all these Zatanna movies and this planned for phase 2. None of that's working. Drop the Batman in there. Like, let's get bats rolling on this.
Drop
the bat. Well, the other question is then in regards to Batman, if this is not like a co-red situation, do you think the original plan is what I mean is
disaster
like
for the studio?
Disaster for the studio, like a last resort kind of thing.
No. What she's saying is if Batman's brought out, it might not be an emergency situation.
What I'm saying is what the original
Code red. I was just like, what term did you fucking say there? That's what I was trying to get to.
Oh, okay.
Code red.
Yes,
no, totally.
Okay.
Don't worry, guys.
But
That's
if
on me. Yeah,
what
cool.
the main plan is that James Gunn is waiting for Matt Reeves to finish his Batman movies before bringing Batman into the DCU.
Marketing, yeah, I see it. You don't want two Batman running around trying to market them at the same time. I got it. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know. Like the Matt Reeves.
All three theories work together, though. When you get down to it,
they all really do just like link together. I could see all of those dominoes falling at the exact same time.
Because otherwise, you're dealing with like, or like a multiverse kind of situation, and then it gets really confusing for like maybe.
If you remember, this is what they said about the Batman, but then they initially announced because they did like when they were like, we're doing Joker 2, and then they announced like another Joker movie. And it was like, oh no, don't worry. This one's an Elseworlds. Like it's like, what the fuck are you doing then? Like, why are you having two Jokers? So I don't even know if they're that smart. Really, I don't know if they're that. I feel like that only didn't materialize because everybody hated Joker 2.
Sakura Amida sent this a little earlier to us. This is a Power Ranger situation. There was apparently a Morphin Legends game that had something to do with the makers of the Rita game, maybe? Is that what I'm to understand here? Rita's Rewind was part of this? Yeah.
I don't fucking... I literally have no idea.
Mighty Force. Okay,
Sakura, if you send this over, you got to send us a little more context. You can't just...
Well,
drop
I'm just
images
trying
at
to piece it together because it comes with a link to Transformers concept art, and so I think this is related through these canceled games, and this is.
But that's the thing is like you're just guessing out here. If you could, yeah. So Sakura, like anytime you want to drop something with us, you got to remember we might not know all of the context. We got to tell us a little about what we're looking at.
Yeah, it was another PR game that got canceled. I just don't know if this was Skydance's or not. I'm not. This is East Side Games Studio. I don't know if it's different, but
No idea.
That's weird. Well, again, let us know what the situation is on it. I'm a little lost on it. Again, I tuned out of the Power Ranger stuff because it's just sad. It's so sad.
And when it comes to mobile games, I never care. Like if I hear the word mobile game, I go nope, do not care. I'll wait for you to make a free version of it, or I'll wait for you to remake it. Like I'm not doing this.
Yeah, something like that. I'm not sure, but we do have the Black Ops 7 trailer here. I got to tell you, I'm not a Black Ops guy. I'm really not. I liked Call of Duty back in the day. I just kind of fell out of love with how repetitive it gets. But this, I got to tell you, they hurt us. They hurt us. I think we hurt their feelings.
Welcome to the Guild. We have been expecting you. Please, follow me. You already know us as a global tech leader. Our software, our
Blade
systems, combined with our skilled team, is designed to save lives.
Yeah, we're totally here to help you.
Years of service have shown you the importance of our work. Here, you'll witness the global scope of that mission in action.
Oh, who is that? That guy.
Let me introduce you to our esteemed.
No, the actor. I know Mason. I think he has a new face model. Milo Ventimiglia.
For too long, we have been bound by outdated systems, accepting limitations instead of redefining them.
I kind of
The
wish
Guild
we
is
did
safeguarding
holograms this way in real life,
now.
like the 4 lights with the beam that you can like
We are
see making
pioneering
it.
the
That's always
future
cool.
of protection.
I don't mind
worldwide.
Elon Musk.
Our advancements
It's kinda
are
neat.
designed to elevate everyday
I'd have 15 kids with her.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. Especially if I can pause them. Game's on.
I'm Emma Kagan, CEO of the Guild.
Oh no, it's Robo Nixon.
Finally, the game we've been waiting for.
Nope. It turns into that one scene.
Oh, from
That
Deception.
movie. Yeah.
Why is it always that scene? It's the Akira bike slide. It's good enough.
It really is. You know you're in a mental movie when it has like the.
We're here to help you. Oh no, it turned into a nuclear apocalypse. How can anyone could predicted such a thing?
Technology actually bad.
Story is though.
You mean I didn't create my own video games with AI?
I just taught you guys how to beat us.
This part's important.
Fear is a powerful thing. David Mason.
Wow.
Yeah, they're going deep.
They are going really deep.
I just like this remix. It's really good. I
no, it
really
sounds
like that remix.
No,
I think Nine
I'm
Inch
gonna
Nails
be-
sounded that good in a long time.
I'm gonna be a bit of a curmudgeon here, but I gotta be completely
Sure.
honest with you. I'm the person who gave up on Black Ops after the first one. So the last time I played Call of Duty Black Ops, the only thing I remember is like the exploding RC car. So you have to
Yeah, me
explain it
too.
to me as if I'm 5 years old about how we got to 7, because it feels like I missed a few things.
Not really. It's been the same formula all along. Some shit's gone down. Somebody on Mason's team or Mason himself has to go deal with that shit, and it goes sideways on him, and you gotta help. That's the story.
That's the thing with the Black Ops series. So like I used to like the Call of Duty games. I think I stopped the mainline ones with the original Modern Warfare 2, but I played Black Ops 1 and I believe I played Black Ops 2. I liked what those did because it was like, oh, here's a new twist on what we do with Call of Duty, because it's like we're going back to the Cold War era. We're going to mess around with number stations and MK Ultra and like do a lot of not necessarily like super high level intelligent things, but at least play with some more heady concepts and really dig into like how fucked up the US was during that time. And then after 2, they went, oh, Make a third one really quick. Make a fourth one really quick. Make a fifth one, and it just became more. It became another Call of Duty line where it was just we're dumping shit out here. When I saw this like announcement for 7 on my timeline, I was with you, Jacob. I was like, where? How the fuck did we get to 7? I remember 3 at best, and I ignored that. No, I remember 4 because they did the meme with 4 where they were doing 1, 2, 3 as Roman numerals, and then everybody's like, "Are you gonna do IV?" Nope, they just did 1, 1, 1, 1.
And
So
that's
you're gonna do IVs? Like, how much your money? Fucking business, pal.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know what a V is. I didn't make it that far.
We'll hire Dr. Disrespect back if you keep acting like that.
Yeah, we'll put the thing back in. We'll make it free.
But so if you don't know, Mason went through a lot of psychological programming to make him a perfect unit. That's what you see in that end with all the screens turning on around him. Menendez is the man that did this to him. It was to make him the perfect Black Ops agent because he could. You remember the show Dollhouse? So
Yes.
they broke him to the point where he could become whatever soldier they needed him to be. That's what his whole Black Ops story is about. Is Mason doesn't know who he is because who he is just a 6 CD changer of murderers, of like licensed murderers. So that's what he is. And so
As opposed to the unlicensed murderers.
yeah, those are tricky. That's who he has to kill. So Mason's story has always been pretty crazy to begin with. Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, or something like that. I think that's what it was. That one had like it was set in the far off year of 2027, I think. And they had like the drone police and things like that. Just everything had been automated, which again, it might still be. And so that one really took Mason in a very, very different direction, in my opinion. The character, not like in the way that he was like any less broken, but he was like extra crazy in that one. He was like bordering Trevor's from GTA. He's kind of crazy. He was like bordering meth addict crazy in that one. But he also had like cybernetic implants and stuff like that. So like he was just kind of, everybody was rocked out of their ass in that fucking game. That was crazy.
Love it.
But Call of Duty 7 comes out on the heels of Call of Duty 6, which I believe just came out last year. People are still complaining about it. It's so new. And so Call of Duty 7 is just kind of here to be like, well, that happened, but here's this. And so...
But this is just Activision returning true to form, because remember, for a while, they were releasing a new Call of Duty game like every year.
That's what Spencer was saying, is that it got so formulaic, they could just stamp them out. Like, here goes Mason again.
Same
Here
with
goes
Assassin's
Price
Creed.
again.
I think Assassin's Creed, they did the same thing too. They were releasing games. Ubisoft was doing it like every year, and people got so sick of it.
There were a couple of them that blurred together there. Like Brotherhood and Odyssey, I think, bled together a bit. Not that they were like looking alike. It just seemed, for whatever reason, people kind of got them in at the same time or something. I don't know. They don't see this. They don't feel distinct. But here you have Call of Duty Black Ops 7 here, and it appears like they're really trying to bring back people who are like me, people who left the franchise and have been kind of just sort of watching other people play it. So. This does get me interested in playing again. I want to know what Mason uncovers with his maybe real Menendez, and I also want to find out more about Elon Musk. Shelon Musk, that's what it was. Shelon Musk.
And see, like, the story is great, and I'm totally on board for that. But then I know that could you make it a movie or like a TV series?
Yeah, right. Like a Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, okay,
Jack
great.
Kojima.
Like, I have 2 guns. I switched to them. All right.
I slide canceled. I slide canceled into the next cutscene, guys.
I was gonna. You just got it. I was gonna say you don't even get the slide cancel side, or the single player is just all set pieces. So don't get fancy on me, okay? Unless it's scripted that way.
What was the last time a Call of Duty like campaign mode was really good? I know Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 was good.
3 was great. I made it that far, and I just kind of, it boiled me over after 5. I was like, I'm out. This is dumb.
I think for me it was probably Black Ops 2, but that was mostly just where I stopped playing. When they did, like, my entire eyes rolled out of my socket when they were like, oh, we're gonna do Modern Warfare again, and then they were like, we're redoing the story again, and just get out of here. I don't know.
Because like the thing I remember the most is like people were just at that point. I think it was after Modern Warfare 3, or it was in like Black Spec Ops 2 maybe. They were Activision was more focused on the multiplayer at the time than anything.
I mean,
else.
they've always
trying to be. I know, but they were trying to be like pumping out more money for the multiplayer.
They tried to be the EA of like first-person shooters.
Surprise, yeah.
They tried to be the EA of first-person shooters, and it didn't end very well.
Yeah, what I'm saying is at that point they were like, screw the campaign mode. We're just gonna invest in multiplayer and put everything there at that point. So I don't know. I don't think it's like that anymore, is it?
Like I said, it's been a while since I've touched the Call of Duty game. I mean, in all honesty, I haven't played the Call of Duty game since Battlefield 3 came out. That's how long it's been. So
I don't know anybody that plays the campaign other than to unlock the zombie mode. And that's and then they get that with the battle pass anyway, so you don't need to play the campaign. Most everybody buys the blops in order to murder their friends in the most creative suit they could possibly. Well, not creative, the most creatively bankrupt skin they can find. Like,
yes,
you kill somebody with Nicki Minaj's butt cheeks. That's.
Look, you know what? I talk shit on that one a lot too, but where we are now, that one was like 4 years ago.
That's true.
Like, can we go back to that one? Like that one at least made a little more sense than all the.
You could at least laugh at that one. It didn't hurt.
You know what hurt you? This will hurt you, Cider, because you're probably like me. You probably love these films. The next pack the next crossover thing, Blunt Man and Chronic, in 2025. With reference to fucking Blunt Man and Chronic, like from Kevin Smith, Jay and Silent Bob.
The with what game?
Oh, with Call of Duty.
No, you're gonna have Jay and Silent Bob and Blops.
No.
That's disgusting.
That
Does
should
the
be
nut
in Fortnite,
does the
not
nut
Call of
smasher make it
Duty.
in there?
I think it's like a backpack that you wear. You can't use it.
Oh.
That should be in Fortnite, not Call of Duty.
Right, exactly. Well,
Well,
unfortunately, it's a dude weed. It's a dude weed. You can't have it, unfortunately. It's a dude weed.
In light of putting it in Fortnite, I guess Blops works. I don't know. It feels a bit like
I like
Battlefield, honestly.
Fortnite to me, like, okay, I used to talk shit. I went through a really bad breakup last year. I needed something to do, like, with my time to keep myself from going insane. I randomly picked up Fortnite because one of my friends played it. It's fun, and it actually treats every character in that game, real person, IP, whatever, they'll like look better and have a better treatment in that game than like their own series in a movie they've been in for years. It is
Superman,
absolutely bonkers.
Fortnite Superman has been praised high and low as having the best fit of James Gunn's Superman suit. It doesn't appear to fit Corn is Wet as well as the Fortnite suit.
The model. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Fortnite, they just added an item where if you pick up like a dog bone, you can throw it, and Crypto like rockets down and does a big AoE effect and like picks up the bone and then goes away. It's incredible. I want to pet Crypto all the time. But that's the thing with the Call of Duty. So the last Call of Duty game I played was Warzone, which was their standalone battle royale. Like it was a free. It's still free to play. You can go download it. Is their answer to Fortnite, and I liked that one a lot because it was really just focused on the gameplay. There was no single player I kind of had to concern myself with, and I always thought that should be the future. I don't know why they keep going. I like somebody out there. Does anybody know? I feel personally like they wrapped up the Black Ops story, so now they're just doing a Force Awakens type thing here, where they're just trying to throw something out there because they have the rights to use it.
That sounds about right. And I think they concluded the Modern Warfare story a long time ago with Modern Warfare 5, you think, or 4?
Well, there is no 5. I think the last one was 3, the new one. And that one is open ended. Like the Modern Warfare series now is like the equivalent of, I don't know, it's just like bullshit trash slop. Like it's the lowest common denominator stuff.
That's
I'm not
really
saying
sad.
It can't be fun. Like I have fun playing them, but the way it is the number one or one of the number one things, probably alongside like Naughty Dog Studios, who are preventing video games from actually being video games. And they're the ones who keep trying to shove down movies or cinema to everybody. And that's why I'm like, Call of Duty, can you just fucking stop? Like, and it's especially weird because like all of us know, even if we haven't played a Call of Duty game, we all know it's essentially the fast food of video games. So you're going like, oh yeah, we're gonna show you what what food can do, and we're gonna show you with a Big Mac. It's like, yeah, I'll probably enjoy a Big Mac, but I also know this is not what you say. Like, this isn't what you should be going. Oh yeah, burgers can be this, burgers can be that. Explain video game dynamics to an American. Imagine a burger.
But like, I just remember when Modern Warfare and even Modern Warfare 2, when those two games came out, they weren't fast food. They were like the nation. If I have to do a fast food comparison, I feel like they were like the In-N-Out burger of that day, where they were just like above everything
they
else.
were, but that was because that was still focused back then on the video game. Like when Modern Warfare 1 and Modern Warfare 2, the originals came out, they were still trying to deliver on like our series for our players.
Yes.
We're Call of Duty. It's the same thing we always talk about. Once it became like corporatized and they got bought out by all these things and started going out there, you started losing what made a lot of those games unique. You started losing certain perks. You started losing play styles. Certain narrative moments get dropped because people start crapping their pants, and it just all goes downhill from there.
Yeah, that was, I think, was it Black Ops when Infinity Ward, the original Modern
Devs.
Warfare people left? Yeah, that was at Black Ops, right? Like, I think it was.
What happened there was they had Modern Warfare and they were working, Infinity Ward was working on those ones, and then they went, oh, here to like whoever they handed it off to, like, can you do a side one? And then it became like 1 year you get a call, like a mainline Call of Duty from Infinity Ward, then you get a spin-off one, then you get the mainline, then you get the spin-off, then you get the mainline, and they did slow down like a year or two ago, I think, with Warzone, but that's kind of how they've always done it. Make sure you always have a new thing for them to go out and buy. And like, it works, unfortunately. Look at the fucking FIFA packs, right? Like FIFA packs. Yeah. I will.
Madden too.
Yeah, Madden, the FIFA packs. Kids will go out and buy like $500 worth of microtransactions for FIFA 2025, and then when the next one rolls around and they say eat shit, they go, okay, please, some more.
It seems like when like Call of Duty and like Grand Theft Auto, even when they focus just like on the online with, you know, Call of Duty with Warzone and Grand Theft Auto Online, that's when they're like, especially modern day, that's when it's at its pinnacle. That's when it's at its best, when the devs have like one aspect to focus on, if that makes sense.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't necessarily agree, because, for example, Modern Warfare 2, like the original, I love that campaign and I really love that multiplayer. Same with Black Ops 1, same with Black Ops 2. There's, you know, two different, you know, a single player mode and a multiplayer mode aren't enough to really divide focus, especially in a series that has always been known for that.
Yeah.
It is what you're seeing again, it's that corporatization of it. Once they go, oh, we just need to make this super cinematic, we need to make sure this sells 1 billion copies. That's where everything starts going downhill. That's where you start getting, you know, oh, what the hell do we just throw out there? Let's add something into this. It's the Star Wars thing. You go,
Yep.
Oh, I have a brand. Let's milk the hell out of it. Sure, you might make, you know, all those billions in the immediate, but then when the dust settles, all of us go, that was awful. That was really bad.
My friend, I just wanted to play the video where the Asian girl breaks her neck twice. That's all I did to play the video.
There you go. I was gonna say, I was just about to introduce you, Jacob. I was like, I see 2 women and a ring here, Jacob. So
this is the gift that keeps on giving. I'll play it for you. If you're squeamish, too bad.
キャンディーを靴負荷が飛んだそう自爆脳天を打った大丈夫かいや苦しいぞもう一回チャレンジがセカンドロープに上がるそして一回ダメだ
She did it twice.
that lady doesn't remember algebra anymore.
God damn.
She probably doesn't remember anything before she took algebra.
That's true. That's true.
One more time.
キャンディーを靴負荷が飛んだ
There's the first concussion.
I like how the StreamYard like sped it up and then smashed her and slowed it down a little bit. That was great.
That's better.
Hey, I got an idea. Maybe if you can't do the move, don't do it.
Well,
you don't know until you try.
Well, is this supposed to be a segue into Blake Lively getting her ass destroyed in court?
Well, no,
I'd like to
it's
see that
actually.
video. Anybody got that video? I'd like to see that video.
No, you don't. But yeah, so I know that the news had broke earlier today that apparently Justin Baldoni's lawsuit got dropped. Let's be very honest, he was never going to get $400 million. Even in the best case scenario, he was never getting $400 million. So that is a little bit absurd. But yeah, I know his lawsuit got dropped. Did you say that there something else regarding Blake that happened too, Nurgans?
No, I was saying that she dropped her case against Justin. That's what I meant by her just getting kind of destroyed.
Well, so did they both just drop because did both of them get dismissed? Because I only heard that his did. I didn't hear anything about her.
Hers got this. She dropped her case, I believe.
Well, did she drop the case entirely? I know there was 2 charges that she had dropped last week. That was last week's story. I don't know if her entire case got dropped.
All we have right here is Yahoo saying that Justin has dismissed, or rather, a judge has dismissed Justin Baldoni's countersuit. So he did not rescind it. The judge decided it was not up to snuff. So
Blake dropped 2 of her claims, but her lawsuit is still going forward. So
yeah. Two of her claims against her got dropped, but yeah, the one is still going forward for now. So that's the last update that I heard. So I hadn't scrubbed into it just yet, but that's what I did hear earlier today.
Yeah, well, again, I mean, something's got to come out of that. They can't just keep circling the drain on this. They've eventually got to commit and do something with it. It can't be one of those eternal court
We
cases.
live in a post-Epstein file world. They don't have to do
You know what? You got me. That's very true. We do have some clarification on what Sakura Mita was letting us know a little earlier, though. I do understand it much more completely. It's what we have right here is Hasbro likes to set up games, get everybody excited about it, pay a bunch of studios to generate a bunch of stuff about it, and then go, that's nice. We're going to hang it up on the fridge, and that's it. Bye. And that's what happened to these Ranger games, as well as the Transformers game that's attached to this. Is the Transformers Hasbro got these studios, development studios, ready to go. Gave them a platform apparently with which game is this one that I can't think of right now? Hold on. This is the Mighty Force that they've also done away with apparently. So Hasbro likes to just get things going and then put the brakes on. And we've heard this several times already as well. There was another Transformers game that bit the dust recently as well.
So I just want to push back really quick here because Sakura Mita, Sakura, it's not, you regularly bring up these presentations of people in Hollywood or in the industry going, oh, I'm intentionally going to make sure this fucking fails. They go, oh, let's set up a video game studio and let's promote it and let's throw a bunch of money. And then in your assumptions, and then we're going to pull the plug. So what's the point of that? Nobody's benefiting from that. You always have to ask yourself, who benefits? And what's the goal here? Anytime you hear any of these things, because what the real thing is, hold on. The real answer here, Sakura, is that Hasbro they're trying to make these things, they just don't land, and they have to, scrap them. Would you rather them go, oh, here's a game, we don't care, we know it's going to fail? What do you want from them? Do you want them to try new things and advertise them to you, or do you want them to not ever do anything unless way down in the future it's going to be a smash success? It's not how any of these things work.
The only logical reason why you would create something in order to completely crush it would be for obviously tax purposes. That's the only loophole that I can see. It's just hey, if we could just write this whole thing off, because there are companies that do that. I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, Warner Bros. But there are companies out there that will intentionally basically throw something in the trash, say, hey, we're taking way too much on losses. We need something to offset it. Throw Batgirl into the Mulak fire because we need something to save us. So but even there are certain cases like that you will see that, but generally, I mean, for companies that don't have that kind of huge corporate profile, it's a little harder for them to pull that off.
And also, yes, that movie was going to be awful. I'm not singing praise to its quality, but the people making that movie still went in thinking that was going to go out. It was Warner Brothers at the end going, oh yeah, we see this is going to be hot shit. We need to shut it down. So anytime you greenlight this, nobody is greenlighting something with the intention of it failing, except in very specific, strategy circumstances. what you're seeing more is an inability to read markets, inability to really commit to anything. Because what you see with a lot of these Transformers games, these Power Rangers games that fail, is that, yeah, there's effort there. I see it. I see you use, legacy characters, you Battle for the Grid. You really leaned into the Marvel versus Capcom of it, but it's always like, you just didn't go far enough for this to be like a really, like a real project. It still has that feel of like corporate sterility. And that's what really like gets them. And that's only because they go, shit, green light that. Oh, we need a mobile game. Oh, we need a fighting game. Oh, we need that. We need that. And then they don't really, sometimes, like that's what Disney does. That's what they all do. Sometimes we get a cool thing, but more often than not, we end up with our WandaVisions.
Well, Professor Snape has back on this one. He says, just imagine if they're releasing Ironheart, then Batgirl must have been truly off.
Let's be honest. The financials of Disney are slightly better than Warner Brothers, so they may have a little bit more tolerance on their table.
I'm almost pretty sure that like Ironheart at this point, its release is like a contractual thing.
Yeah, that's
like,
another
kind of to what. Right, yeah, it's kind of like to what Jacob's saying, it's on a different path. It's like they've signed all of these like distribution and all these pay contracts, blah blah blah. So they have to do it. Otherwise, if they violate it, they're going to lose way more money than they would otherwise.
So the other funny part is that, like Echo Mania, they just released the whole thing in one fell swoop because they just really want to get rid of that one. For Ironheart, they're releasing half the series in the first week, and then the rest will be released slowly. But it almost feels like they probably would have been better off doing the same thing because, by the way, this is only 6 episodes as well. Like, this is not a long-standing series
That
either.
to me feels like it's a desperate play to because that's, with some show, I don't remember what show. Maybe it was even The Last of Us, even though that thing is basically dog shit. People on Twitter recently or social media were talking about how here's why we used to do weekly releases for like shows so that people could keep talking about it. Everybody would talk about it for 2.5 months, 3 months, and that allows you to work in the background on your spinoff, on your sequel, whatever, and roll with everything instead of dump it in a week. Everybody talks for it in a week, and then we forget that thing was even a property 20 years or like 10 years down the line when you're finally ready. I don't know where I was going with that one, but that's where I was going with that one.
Well, and this is what I take away from what Sakura Media was bringing up to us about Hasbro in this is that Hasbro is not like Chris Cox is not out there trying to run the company into the ground. As a toy company, they don't have the kind of luxury that Disney does, where they have like multiple studios that could shit out stuff whenever they need a few billion. They can't do that.
They used to until everything went bad.
Well, and so this is the point: is that like they are trying. Hasbro is stuck in a very interesting position that all the brands they own and maintained have put them in now. They have an adult audience that spends a lot of money on these products. But the children's audience are who buys them in the numbers. So you make a lot of money off of a limited run. However, the children will bring you billions of dollars, whereas the adults will bring you maybe $1 billion. And so that's the delicate balance they're making. Is you put out a Mighty Morphin video game, well, everybody under 40 is going to be pretty bored with that. And so you have to zoom back out again. You put out a G1 Transformers game. Well, not a lot of people are going to be able to keep up with Transformers Devastation because it pulls a lot from the 1980s cartoon. So if you're not 40 years old, you don't know what the hell's going on and why everybody looks like they were generated in like 1997 CGI graphics.
Yeah,
so
100%.
They've worked themselves into a circle now where like it's like a circular firing squad. They can't win. There's no way to make a Power Rangers game because the audience that spends the most on the initial release that they want to preserve, because those guys will come out and make $1 billion for them to go to the shareholders and say, look, in the first week, we got $1 billion in the Power Rangers game. But then the second week comes out and all the kids that were supposed to pick it up don't, because they don't relate to 1993 Tommy and Jason beating the hell out of each other for the 70,000th time.
And then by week 3, you turn around and you drive away like a bandit before anyone notices that you're gone. That's literally what you do, right?
You do the thing that the Blizzard president did and buy a bunch of fucking cars. Can't take it from me now.
Legally register them as a grave, and the IRS cannot take them from you.
Hasbro didn't put any market research into Power Rangers, by the way. If you don't know, the guy that that was the CEO of Hasbro before then, he got real bad cancer and it took him out. And so he just bought Power Rangers. He was apparently at some kind of like, I want to believe it was a smoky poker table at some bar.
To believe that, but
and he won a bet and he got Power Ranger, like, yeah, he got like a monkey, a pirate ship, and Power Rangers. I want to believe that was happening.
We want to believe it's in like one of the swamp saloons. Like he walked in like through the Yoda tree like door or whatever, and then he sits down and there's Haim Saban and they're ready to go. But it was probably like he's standing in the lunch line at some exhibitor thing and like, oh, hey, I'm from Hasbro. I'm from Saban, I guess, who technically owned it then. And something lame like that. But I'm going to
stupid.
The Snyder story.
Yeah, this is a really cool poker game. But that's what happened is he just kind of drug that back and he didn't contact the R&D department. This is real. Chris Cox, the guy that's currently running it, explained this on an earnings call to the investors that they woke up one day owning Power Rangers. That's what happened.
Richard, you're also missing the best part. But like you'll keep going, but you missed the one, like the best thing where that old CEO, he bought it and then he just died.
It was right there. He didn't even. Here's the plan. He didn't even get that far. He wrote the check.
So then Chris Cox comes in. Yes, he's a bad CEO, but he's sitting there going like, "What am I supposed to do? Like, no plans whatsoever. We don't do."
He doesn't like Power Rangers. He said that multiple times in interviews. He doesn't know what to do with it. He doesn't like it. It doesn't make sense to him why anybody likes it. So he thought it was dead. He didn't even know it was still going after the Mighty Morphin. So again, like this is what's going to keep happening is like Hasbro is not deliberately nosediving themselves. They just have worked themselves into a position that they can't get out of without sacrificing the older audience. The only option they have left is to say, we will give you things every 5 years or so, but we must make sure that when you're collecting a pension on your way with one foot on a banana peel and the other one in the grave, we have younger audiences to continue dumping cash on us. So
that is the strategy. But like we as we talk about Cider, I just get stuck like what kids like Mighty Morphin? I've never seen a child like.
Well, this is the problem. I mean, we mentioned this the last time we had this conversation. It's like anyone who's old enough to actually remember Mighty Morphin in its heyday are like in their late 40s at this point, early 50s at most, right? So then you're trying, we need to aim for the kids. It's like the kids don't have any concept of Power Rangers being popular or mainstream anywhere in their lifetime. So it's like, again, it's like, like I said, it's literally the same thing as trying to reboot TRL in 2025.
Yes,
who do you think is going to be watching this?
Right.
It's like trying to reboot TRL and then you do it and go, who's watching this? And it crashes. And then you keep going, all right, we have the TRL brand instead of, or we have the MTV brand instead of going for like a reboot of Real World Road Rules Challenge or whatever. We're just going to keep doing TRL. And instead of making anything really new with TRL, we're just going to re-air old TRL episodes. And then that leads into the thing, which is same thing that happened to probably all of us out there, or most kids out there, definitely happened to me, is, I had things like the classic Tom and Jerry and the classic Looney Tunes, which now as an adult, I fucking love and I appreciate them. But back then, those come on the TV and I go, I know Dragon Ball. This is stupid. Like it looks old. It's not flashy. I don't want anything to do with this. You can't make something and then wait for that kid to grow up and be 30 and go, oh, now I'm ready to like spend money on this.
Now I understand this thing that wasn't made for me. Yeah, and that's the biggest issue with what Hasbro is up against, okay? Is that I don't believe they're a good company. I don't believe they're a bad company. I don't believe Chris Cox is the devil, but I also don't believe he's the next to be sainted. Though we do have an American Pope, so you don't know. What's that? Yes, he has.
He's unfortunately named.
Yeah, that one. And he would have changed it by now. You'd be rich enough.
You would have. Honestly, like
Chris Caspian sounds so much better. But anyway, the situation is that they're going to push forward with this reboot of Power Rangers with the Paramount Studios, whoever they are. And they're likewise going to be pinned by the same directive. So expect multiple cancellations to come through on that Paramount project and resets and new people writing it over the next 10 years because they can't crack the code of how to get kids to care about MMPR. because it's
You know
just it's not gonna happen.
You know what this is like? It's like the announcements we got for like the Care Bears live action movie and also the Monster High live action movie. It's
I
like
saw the Care Bears one, and I'm just like,
I saw both of them, and when I saw the Monster High one, I'm like, Nickelodeon tried to do it like with really, really bad musicals, and it was for like Gen 3, which is something that has been really mixed. It's not even like it doesn't even look like Monster
we have
High.
no idea. We have no idea what that is.
I only paid attention to Gen 1.
Yeah, we don't need to get into the dolls.
We don't need to get into that. But like here, let me break it down kind of like this. It went from like a goth alternative brand, like classic horror monsters, to like a bright, like pop color. It's like a shell of its former self. It went from like goth to more like girly and preppy and like diverse and stuff like that. If that makes sense.
So to help the audience out there, if you're not familiar, the Monster High brand was Barbie Bratz for goth kids. So if you liked Hot Topic in middle school, there was a doll that you could, enact these fantasies of your gothic adulthood upon, I guess. I'm not sure
they
what
were the children. Yeah, they were the children of like of the Universal monsters, like Frankenstein, the werewolf. There was zombies.
Like
yeah, if you look at like Generation 1 and then look at it compared to like now, you'd be like, what happened here?
So I'm going to mask off a little bit here, okay? So I used to work for a school for autistic children, a preschool. And so we would get a lot of media for snack time. And so I got familiar with Blaze and the Monster Machines, Monster High, all that stuff that was going on around like the early 2010s.
Yeah,
late
like 2010s.
20-aughts, right around there.
God,
and
what
so,
a stupid naming time.
well, again, so you were a lot of that stuff was going on there. So I really enjoyed the story of the first generation Monster High girl story because it's just Saved by the Bell, but with monsters.
Well, with
and it's also like about embracing like your unique, freaky
Saved by the
flaws and
Bell.
all that. Yeah, so Saved by the Bell, but with like with monsters. But now it's not that. Like they have like they have the DEI stuff in there, and it's so cringe.
There's a lot of propagandizing with every media now, and Monster High did not escape. But one of the things that I really enjoyed about it was the character Laguna Blue. And she is the daughter of the creature from the Black Lagoon, but she's Australian. And that twist made me laugh so hard in the middle of all those autistic kids. They couldn't figure out why the hell I was laughing so hard that the fish girl was Australian. They couldn't. Still today, it just took me completely. Okay, so that's the daughter of the creature from the Black Lagoon. Then Steve Irwin's daughter comes out of her mouth. I just didn't see that one coming. I thought it was going to blah, 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 but no. Just,
like, now we're bringing the real world into this. Oh, there's 7 different layers in play.
Yeah, and then your mind's like, who did? So the creature from the Black Lagoon survived. He escaped to Australia, met a woman, started a bar, and had a daughter.
To be fair, that is the plot of what is it, Terminator: Dark Fate or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Terminator killed John Connor and was like, I guess I'll open a bar now.
And I'll ghost out a family. Like that is literally what the Terminator does.
Even the Terminator can't escape the masculine urge to start a drinking establishment.
The point what I was making was like, we're gonna see something. We're gonna see something like really bizarre with the Care Bears live action. Well, probably it will be as bad as the Smurfs live action that's coming.
Well, I mean, like that's the thing. It's like I see the Care Bear announcement, and I hear what you're saying. Like, okay, this isn't against Nerdigans or anybody out there, but like on my end, I saw that Care Bears thing, and I just go, what the fuck? I can't really go like, oh, this is going to be bad. Like, we know it's going to be bad. There's literally nothing. They have to surprise us at this point. Like, this is one of those projects.
Yeah.
Just from the jump on its base, a fucking live action Care Bears. Unless you're making it a super like kid oriented thing where we can, give it a little leeway, you're going to really have to like sell it on us. So I just see it and I go, this is either going to die, it's either going to go into development hell, or it's going to be absolutely terrible.
Yep.
Well, the Monster High one, I feel like you could do something with, but I don't know nothing about that.
Yeah, with Monster High, there is potential. There really is, but the thing is that it gets wasted because of these studios trying to just try to insert their politics into it when it's like Harry Potter, where there's a diverse universe, and then Percy Jackson, diverse universe, but now we got to race swap. We got to, like in the case of Dracula,
Annabelle.
the daughter of Dracula, they got rid of her accent because she had like a very Transylvanian accent. They said that was offensive, so they had to get rid of it. It's the weirdest.
You know those
thing.
Transylvanians, they get pretty heated out there on X. They
Oh, yeah.
Their 1 hour of internet time.
Oh yeah, and
Damn vampires.
They had to get rid. They made Laguna. Oh, it's weird. They made Laguna blue pink, and she's not from Australia anymore.
I'm
She's
out.
from
I hate it. Thank you. We're nuking it from orbit now.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear this. This is sacrilege. This is blasphemy.
A character with the name Blue in her name is no longer blue, but she's pink.
That's the ironic humor that millennials are known for, and it will stain us for the rest of our generation. Our name
Thanks,
is Blue, but
Josh
she's actually
Whedon, you
pink.
dick.
Seriously.
Thanks, Josh. But I do want to let you know there is good news in the world, and I'll bring it up eventually. So there is good news in the world. I forgot to bring this up earlier during the Switch 2 conversation, but Walmart treated their pre-order folks that came for the evening or the day of anyway to a treat. The guy that told me about the scratch-off tickets being digital and also physical for some users, digital for others, let me know that he got a can of pizza Pringles and a Red Bull from his local Walmart where he pre-ordered from. So, well, I got to tell you, Jacob, it beats stapling the screen of your game.
Well, so what this actually is, it was an actual campaign by Walmart. They decided out of nowhere they were going to, with every Switch order, whether you pre-ordered it online, picked it up in the store, you got I haven't heard Red Bull, but I heard like a 2 liter of soda and a Pringles thing, because they were like, why not? We'll do something, have a snack while you're playing your Switch too. So I actually think that's like not a bad thing. That's an easy thing for a corporation to do. The two things I have that I've taken away from it is, one, I actually read a story from a dude who his like life was saved by that gift, because he was like diabetic, went down, didn't have anything in the house, and he's like, oh shit, wait a minute, I got that free soda, and he was able to like drink it and like get up and go.
Walmart saves lives.
The other one is so that's like really good, right? Like, oh yeah, Walmart saves lives. The other one is some guy like he got his notification for his Switch 2, and he went to the door, and there were like 24 bottles and like 24 Pringles, and it turned out the guy just got like lazy and didn't want to do the rest of his deliveries for that day.
So you're set for the rest of the month.
Yeah, right? Like I can't be mad about that.
That man is just gonna shit Pringles. But I thought you were gonna tell me like he got his dick stuck in the Pringles can. I was like,
I mean, that's implied, right? We all do it. I'm not. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone is all I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. But that wraps it up for 01 this week. We have been running here for about 3 hours, bringing you.
Which means it's time to go home, nerdigans.
Yeah.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Well, anyway, so thank you all for tuning in. But before we go, Miss Nerdigans, where do we find you when the show is over?
Well, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Nerdigans Inc., where we're covering anime and manga every day. On Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we're doing a weekly podcast covering all the week's insane events. We're not going to cover the LARPs. I don't like calling it protests because they are just straight up LARPing. We're not covering that. That is separate. But we are covering like anime and manga news and video game news and stuff like that over the past week. On Patreon, patreon.com/PackerGirl, I'm doing all primarily my anime content there. I did, to make up for falling behind, I did like 2 episode live reactions for Fire Force, Boku no Hero Academia, Illegals, and Witch Watch. 2 of them I recorded like prior to getting on here, and those are like 2 hours a pop. And then you can follow me on Twitter, where if you want to see like LARP coverage, that's where that's at. And then for Bounding, I sent Spencer the stuff for the stuff with Jujutsu Kaisen and a couple of other things too, that including One Piece censorship that Toei pulled a 4 so to speak, in the most recent episode of One Piece. And I got to send you a couple of things. Speaking of my anime content, I got to send you a couple of things because, man, Witch Watch's localization got extremely cringy. They spelled Kudere Cooldure, COOL dash DURE. I am dead serious. They did. That's what the localization did for the anime. So I'll send you that like after I get off. If we get off of here.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, we'll see you. I'll probably be on the stream, the other stream that Founding is doing, which I think
The Untitled Nostalgia Show.
The Untitled Nostalgic Show, which everyone else will talk about.
There you go. Jacob, where do we find you when the show's over? That's a nice Steve from Minecraft cosplay you've got there, too.
Yeah, chicken jockey or something like that. Yeah, that's literally just the worst thing in our society right now. So we have the Ballroom coming up tomorrow night. So some of the things we'll be talking about the new LA riots, because when you Google LA riots, you realize just how many riots there have been in LA over the last like 60 years. So it's like you got to narrow it down.
Which one? Exactly. Google doesn't know.
There's like a lot. Like even there was some guy posted like a meme of like basically all the riots in LA over the last 40 years. I have to go back and be like, you forgot the Watts riots too.
Oh no.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Trump and Elon's little pissing match they got into last week. Roman Reigns might be on his way out of the WWE as TKO's trying to lowball him. And then Dakota Johnson may be an airhead, but she's my favorite airhead in Hollywood right now. So we'll talk about her tomorrow. What else we got coming up? I'm trying to get a couple more movie reviews up. I got a lot of movie reviews to catch up on, so I'm trying to do that. Yeah. And as you can see here, I'll be moving in the course of the next few weeks. So there's going to be a lot of changes going along physically here too. So go check that out. Last night with the Bible Lens podcast, we talked about Trump and the Islamic nations. This week we'll be talking about the folly of people who are trying to be fruit inspectors, quote unquote. We'll do that as well. So yeah, we got some things coming out this week, so I'll be busy. So go check me out over there, Society Reviews.
All right then. Spencer, when the show's over, where do we find you?
Yeah, guys, as always, you can find me or us after the show, boundingintocomics.com, where we've got new news stories going up every day. I've got some stuff to drop on you as soon as we're out of here, so look forward to that. As always, you can hit us up right here, same bat time, same bat channel next week for another episode of 01. In case you guys are still wondering what's going on, or if you're new here, we have changed our day. We moved from Wednesday nights to, I guess, afternoons, right? Monday afternoons, Monday evenings, if you will. So just trying to hit more of you guys. You know, we'll hang out with you on your drive home or while you're cooking dinner instead of while you're getting ready for bed or whatever. I know we're all beautiful, but you got something else to focus on when you're going down. And then, yeah, aside from that, I'm sure Cider will let you know more about it if I miss anything. But on Saturdays at a noon Pacific time, do the math from there on out. We are doing a new show here on the channel, Untitled Nostalgia Show. It's the four of us. We just hang out. We look at some old stuff that Cider probably didn't see living out in the boonies, and we just laugh a lot. It's a pretty good show. I was only there for the first half of the first episode. I still had a lot of fun. I still had a blast. It's an issue because I was there. I know. We're going subversive. But yeah, guys,
if anything, you ruined the flow that we were having there, Spencer.
I know I did. I just fucking threw the speed bump in there.
Yeah, when you left.
But yeah, that's all we've got going on. Subscribe to Jacob, subscribe to Nerdikins, follow Cider on everything he does, and we'll see you next week.
As Spencer noted, we had this show. Spencer had to leave early, so it did we were two of them know things about California. I don't. So they were like not racketeering. They were like doing the tennis racket thing back and forth with the history of California's
volleying
center.
Right?
If there's anyone here who knows about being severely injured by Razor scooters, it's Nerdigan. So hopefully we can get her on one of these shows.
I still have a flashback.
She's muted.
Muted.
Well, I actually one of the electric one of those electric scooters.
Oh no.
That's how I fell off of one, and that's how I fractured my wrist and my ulna.
Want to know how I got these scars?
You were just made of glass. You know that's that.
That happened. Well, this was what happened like 6 years ago, and it was right when I was moving back with my now late boyfriend from Sacramento. So I had to take stuff up the stairs with a cast on. It really sucked.
Immediate divorce. Thanks for helping me move in.
Well, on that bombshell, good luck out.
Feel
this is. I don't know where you can do it. Leave me alone.